All right, guys, I got some news from the head office. Before we start the show tonight, I've just been told, just handed down this memo from the main office that Vince McMahon is going to be rewriting the show tonight. So everybody stay on your toes. Forget everything that we've heard over the past week. Forget everything you thought you were going to talk about tonight. The show's being rewritten. We're going to have to handle it on the fly. So keep your earpieces open and make sure whatever was in the script beforehand, it's out. It's done. It's being rewritten. Market zero!
You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver.
What the hell is that?
Podcast.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you to the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast, your favorite home for the faces that like to talk about things that are awesome. Currently speaking is the guy who is contending for the Chooseweight title, Beef the Legend. Also with me is the reigning, the advocate for the reigning, the defending, the current Chooseweight champion, but the advocate, Mr. Alec Ransom. Take it away, Ransom.
Hold on. There we go. I had to unload.
Responsible gun ownership.
Yeah, we're gonna have some beers, so we're gonna unload. We're gonna take the round out the chamber there after we marked it 0.
Yeah, I was gonna say you gotta be one of the only responsible gun owners there in Mordor.
Listen, Mordor is the. My name is Alec Ransom, and I am the advocate for the reigning, defending, undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world, Put the Board.
Baby, what an advocate. What an absolute advocate. I'm sitting here. I've got an ice cold Steve Weiser in my hand. And I've got my nice, shiny, beautiful title on my shoulder. Well, actually, it's not shiny. It's crinkly. It crinkles nice. It makes that satisfying paper noise.
Ooh.
That's super nice. I am your reigning, defending, undisputed cruiserweight. That's true cruiserweight champion, Poot the Bard, baby. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't introduce the wonderful, the fourth member of our cavalcade over here of insanity, madness, and obnoxious comments, Mr. Tiger
Uppercut.
Bomb Tom.
What's going on, everybody?
How you guys doing tonight, man?
Oh, running around like a chicken with my head cut off, and I'm also cracking open a Steve Weiser. And yeah,
I love. Listen, to be fair to anybody who's. Oh, hey, hold on. I gotta unscrew the cap. Wait.
To be fair.
Oh, thank you. I was hoping that you would catch on to that so I could take a drink while you guys were harmonizing.
That might have been one of our best ones yet.
Yeah, right. I think it was. Anybody out there who leans a little bit towards the, less freedom side of the spectrum, there are no beers being partaken in the Mordors. Just a Red Bull and a big jug of water. So you can suck it and let freedom reign, you bastards.
That's because all the beers are for this weekend.
$49.99 too, you idiots. Oh, also, there's going to be a significant lapse in coverage in Mordor's local fire brigade on Saturday, so I may not be able to partake in every single one of the beers because if there is a fiery orc incident or Sauron gets out of control and sets some shit on fire, the Mordor fire brigade might have to roll out the door.
As is his will.
Yeah. Right.
Well, he says now. Wait until the beers start actually flowing, and then we'll.
No. I mean,
you know what? Honestly, if you're that soused, I think between the four of us, we can make one cohesive sober person. So
we do the fusion dance and become a sober person.
Yeah,
the fusion dance. All right, that's it.
Yeah, we got it. I got it.
If we have enough beers, we might just be able to stumble to the fire and piss on it and put it out, depending on how many beers that have been drunk.
We can do that.
All while standing in front of the fire going, woo, 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 clang, clang, clang.
I like it. I like it.
The whole way we stumbled to the fire goes.
Well, and you know what? Hold on. And we'll be responsible if we're all a little we won't drive. We'll somehow form together like some sort of fucking human Voltron and just wheel ourselves over there like a big I don't know, like a big somersaulting
Human
tumbling
Voltron.
fucking human Voltron tumbling fucking massacre of beers and piss. I don't know.
It'll be like in a it'll be like in a cartoon where you just see like
Beers and piss.
where you just see like a dust cloud and fists and hands are just coming out of it. It'll be like
Oh,
that.
yes, like the
Yes.
Tasmanian devil.
Yes.
Exactly.
Just a tornado
Speaking-
of beers and piss flying around.
Let's
Speaking
thank
of
the
fire,
sponsors.
gentlemen, speaking of fire, gentlemen, we're on fire already. This might be the best episode ever.
Speaking of beers and piss, let's talk about the sponsors.
Yeah, let's do that. I just took a piss and I'm drinking a beer, so your first
nailed it.
sponsor is me.
So,
Nailed it.
yeah.
That's right.
Wow. Listen,
Me,
listen to
P3,
Tom
me all
already,
along.
like giving himself all the credit. Go ahead, Tom. Pump yourself up, man.
You know what? Why not? Fuck it. Nepotism at its finest. Casual Gaming Dad here. Tiger Bomb Tom, one of the sponsors of this illustrious Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast. And if you haven't caught any of my streams, then shame on you. And if you have, well, then what's the dealio with this Saturday and us with the beers and everything like that. The beers flowing, the live show going this Saturday following NXT UK Cardiff. So definitely tune into that. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, because I've been promoting it during my streams, and you have no idea what the hell I mean when I'm talking about my streams, go check me out on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch, Casual Gaming Dad 84 over there. And get yourself some sweet ass Casual Gaming Dad merch. Like I just got the Dick Kick City shirt, which I'll be sporting this Saturday. So you get to see that one live and in person.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
What is that in reference to?
So
Brock
it's
Lesnar, right?
well, it's a play off of the Suplex City stuff. But a buddy of mine from back here at home, shout out to Ben Fontana. He actually, I was playing through a Fatal Frame, and he kept telling me to like kick the ghost in the dick, and he said just take him straight to Dick Kick City, and then that it just went from there. My sponsor was in the stream. I was like, that would make a good shirt, and he's like, hang on, let me see what we can do. And then like a week later, I had a shirt.
Oh,
So-
hey, guys, real quick before we get into the meat of what's coming up this weekend. Oh wait,
What
we
is
got to
that?
thank our other sponsor. What's happening?
yeah, I hear
We sure
beeping.
do.
Sorry, there's an automatic fire alarm in Mordor.
Oh, okay.
We do want to thank the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast is sponsored by IWC Clearfield X or Clearfield 10. I don't know if they're pronouncing X or 10, but either way, it's cool. That is coming up in October. We are going to be attending, so please come out and see us. Come out and see IWC and support them. As always, talk to Sean Tischler regarding the tickets. He can hook you up with some tickets. There are 3 packages available: the VIP, which includes the early access and ringside, front row ringside. Then there are the ringside packages, and then there are your general admission. So come out, support the indies, and let's make wrestling great again.
We're gonna have fun.
Us four dumbasses will be front row, right? Front row ringside.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
front row
will.
ringside.
We need to discuss that after the show to make sure we're all on the same page about getting Sean our monies.
Yes,
So, yes.
we will do that. But right now, Mr. Tiger, Uppercut, Tom, Bomb, Tom. I need some.
fine.
I need some music for Fast Count News. Go. This is Fast Count News with your anchor, Mr. Reigning, defending, undisputed Cruiserweight champion, Poot the Bard, baby. And the Fast Count News for this episode, you ready? Myself, Beef the Legend, Tiger Bomb Tom, and our good friend standing in for Mr. Alec Ransom, Sean Witherow,
Yes.
are going to be at the TV tapings in Pittsburgh for All Elite Wrestling.
Yes.
Fucking
We got in. I sat there. I was at work whenever the tickets went on sale. I was sitting there, and I had my boss's son-in-law was coming in to do some voices for ads. So we had different ads on the station, like different voices. And and I looked at him when he came in, because he was supposed to come in at like 11:15, came in at 20 till 12, and I looked at him and said, okay, we're going to knock out as many as we can in the next 10 minutes. And he said, well, why? I've got like 5 here to do. And I said, I understand that. But from 10 till 12 and 12 o'clock, that's me time, because I have to buy some tickets. And I was sitting there. I was in the queue. The second the clock struck 10 till, I got in the queue. Whenever it popped up on Ticketmaster, it said, how many people are in front of you in the queue? It said 1. So
That's
I was
awesome.
number 2 in the queue. I pretty much had my choice of tickets. We didn't get front row of the section that we were in, but we got damn close. So we're going, man. That's gonna be a blast.
Definitely.
Yeah,
and we'll definitely be both. At least I can't speak for the other two knuckleheads rolling with me, or the third knucklehead for IWC, but I'll definitely be sporting our custom Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast t-shirts, which will be getting to us in the very, very near future here. So
absolutely. If we got them, I'm wearing it.
Yeah. You'll see us there up at Clearfield sporting those, and definitely at the AEW show. And if we can convince him, I think Shill Sean should be carrying around a sign saying they paid me to carry this sign, a P3 sign. So
I want to say something here real quick, and this goes out to 2 of you on this show, and then any other idiot listening. If anybody's going to the Clearfield show, so Sean, listen up, and Poot and Tom, this goes for you guys.
Yes.
I got a $50 bounty. If anybody listening, which includes Poot and Tom, $50 bounty if you can get one of the wrestlers to punch Beef.
Whoa.
Not like a little, hey, it's good to see you, kid. I want like a, hey, I'm trying to knock you down, kid.
ooh,
Yeah, so if you can
Game
egg
on.
somebody on enough, or even if they swing at you and you're fast enough to duck and they hit Beef, $50.
wow.
I don't.
Just take one for the team, Beef. Come on.
Hold on.
No.
I'm beautiful
Damn it,
mind.
Beef, we need this.
I'm beautiful minding this. I can make that happen. Oh, I can make that happen. I'll make it happen.
Mr. Madman Alex Ransom, you said you have something on your mind to start tonight, so please indulge us. What's going on, man?
Yeah, what are these? What are we going to call these little segments here? Where I bring up.
I think you should just call them Ransom's random wrestling history. I don't know. That sounded good in the chat.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, it's kind of history, but it's kind of like you guys' like takes on things as well. So we talked previously before about the JBL and the Nazi salute thing in the Germanys, and like the hardcore Holly and the JBL breaking in the new guys, and kind of what you guys thought about that. I want to get your guys' opinion on an issue that any wrestling fan, even a casual wrestling fan, probably should know about, and that's the Montreal Screwjob.
Ooh, go on.
If there is some jamoke listening to this podcast, which I can't in my wildest dreams fathom how somebody would listen to this podcast and not know what the Montreal Screwjob is, because they're all 4 people who listen to this podcast probably know what it is. So in case you don't, the Montreal Screwjob was Bret Hart back in 98? Yeah, 98.
97, I believe.
Yeah,
Survivor Series 1997.
All right, so 97. Bret Hart was the WWF champion, and he was leaving to go to WCW because WCW is going to give him more money, and Bret Hart, whatever his reasons were, he was going there. So the idea was that, okay, we're going to have a Survivor Series in what was it? Montreal,
yeah.
Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Is where the Survivor Series that year was held. So Vince wanted Bret to drop the belt to Shawn Michaels because Bret was going to be leaving to go to work for another company. And that's kind of what you do. You drop the title, if you have one, to a different wrestler before you leave the company. You don't leave the company and go to a different wrestling promotion and still carry the title.
Unless you're Ric Flair or London Brace. Go on.
Well,
or Mike Awesome.
Or Mike Awesome, yeah.
Oh, dear. Okay, so anyway, it's typical that you drop the belt before you leave to go to a different promotion. So, long story short, everybody has their own reasons. There have been multiple stories out there. Brett didn't want to drop the title to Shawn. Brett said, no, blah, blah, blah. This is why, that's why. Shawn did this, I did this, whatever the case may be. I don't want to lose in Canada, I'm a Canadian. That's like saying, okay, well, I don't want to lose in the United States because I'm an American. Oh. So Brett didn't want to drop the belt. He refused to do it. He said, I'll come out on Monday Night Raw and just hand you the title. I'll forfeit it. Well, this was around the time when the Alundra Blaze incident happened. The NWO was starting. People were defecting. So Vince was a little bit worried that, well, what if Brett doesn't drop the title? What if we don't get the belt back? What if he shows up on WCW and he has our WWF title belt around his waist? That's going to suck. That's going to suck big time. So a scheme was concocted between, the stories vary over the years, but allegedly it was Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels and Triple H, and I want to say that there was one more person.
Was it the ref? Was it Hebner?
Hebner was made aware of it before the match happened. He wasn't in on the scheming.
He denied it vehemently that he had nothing to do with it. He had no idea, but he knew. But go on. Sorry.
Yeah, he knew before he was told before the match this is going to happen. He wasn't involved in the planning. I don't know if anybody other than Vince, Triple H, and Hunter were involved in the planning of this scheme. I want to say maybe Briscoe was. Apparently
with Hebner as well. Apparently he told Brett, he said, on my children, I won't, I'll call it down the line.
Yeah. That was part of the Wrestling with Shadows documentary, which is a great fucking flick, by the way. If you haven't watched Wrestling with Shadows, which is basically about this whole thing, go check it out.
So my question to you guys is, if you can separate yourselves from your love affair with Bret Hart, and I can separate myself from my love affair with Shawn Michaels, if you can put neutral wrestlers in this, say this were to happen today, maybe with WWE and AEW, somebody was going to go from WWE over to AEW, their current champion, you need them to drop the belt. You're not sure if they're gonna. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. They're being shady about it. They're having protests. They're throwing out, well, what if we did this? What if we did that? I really don't want to do this, that, and the other thing. So discount the whole fact that the Montreal Screwjob involved Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Let's say that never happened, but it's going to happen here today. Do you, if you're in the owner's shoes, do you orchestrate today a Montreal Screwjob to take the belt forcibly off somebody that you have a very strong suspicion would take that belt to another promotion as your current champion? Would you pull a Montreal Screwjob to make sure that you keep that title at your business?
Why don't we start
with someone else's TV?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the end there.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm sorry.
Why don't we start with Beef, and then Tom, and then me?
Okay.
And then Ransom.
So,
since it's his point, he gets to close it out.
Definitely. So, to answer your question, yes. To go a little bit more in depth with the actual incident itself, this was more than Brett just not wanting to drop the title. Brett didn't want to drop it to Shawn. Brett wanted to drop it to The Undertaker. Brett wanted to drop it to Austin. Vince said, nope, our plan is Shawn Michaels. Brett said, I'm not dropping the Shawn Michaels in Canada. Brett said, I'll drop the Austin. I'll drop the Taker in Canada. I don't care. I'm not dropping the Shawn Michaels in Canada. I'll come out the next night on Monday Night Raw and hand you that title and say I'm done. But I'm not dropping the Shawn Michaels. So this was the whole Shawn Brett beef, which was like the 90s. Which it would have been really, really interesting if the internet was around then, because I would have loved to kind of be a fly on the wall with that whole thing. But that notwithstanding, it's a good business decision. It's a smart business decision. Because they had, I don't remember if the Alundra Blaze thing had already happened. I think it had, and the whole Ric Flair carrying the world title to WWE when he first showed up, the real world's champion as he called himself.
Yeah, both incidents had already happened at this point.
So, there was precedent, and Vince said, well, I'm not going to let that happen. In fact, ironically, Vince, one of the big draws for Flair, Vince said, I want you to bring that title, and I want to have it on TV so we can basically kind of denounce it as the fake world champion. But I'm getting off track. It's a smart business decision because you cannot have a black eye on your product. The whole situation was just one big clusterfuck. It was poor planning. Vince offered Brett this big, long, stupid fucking contract, and then reneged on it a couple months later. Said, "Hey, man, we can't do it." Which, Brett had him over a barrel. Brett said, "Hey, I'll dodge you, go to WCW. I don't care." And Vince was basically extorted, so that was a shitty move. And then Vince said, "No, you know what? I can't do it." That was a shitty move. Hart not wanting to put over the next guy was a shitty move. Them conspiring against Brett and making this happen on live pay-per-view was a shitty move. Like, everything was just a big pile of shit surrounding this, which is really sad because these two guys were the mid-90s. They were the next generation. So, like, this, I think, really cast a black cloud over that whole thing. But, I honestly, even as a Bret Hart fan, and my fanship for him has kind of waned over the last couple years, even knowing that he was one of my childhood heroes growing up, it was the right move because you cannot risk having your big trinket show up on another show and be cast aside. So,
you would do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you were the boss, you would pull a Montreal screw job today.
Yep. Even if it's fucking John Cena and he's on his last day of the contract, and you don't know, he could show up on AEW, on New Japan, on Ring of Honor. You don't know what he could show up on Good Morning America and piss on it. You don't know, and you don't want that to happen to your prestige heritage belt. So yes, even in today's world, any day, you step in and you say, "Nope, I'm the boss, and what I say goes."
All right, fair enough. Thank you.
I gotta pretty much agree with Beef on that. Now, interestingly enough, I didn't know that Vince had reneged on his contract that he had offered Brett. So it does make his business that he did a lot shittier and a lot slimier because he went back on his word, and now he's expecting, and then he's saying he can't trust Brett to keep his word, that Brett would, just come out and like hand over the title or do something in some way to drop it. That Brett wasn't going to take it to WCW and deface it somehow or anything like that. That's kind of the pot calling the kettle black. But like we mentioned, I think either last episode or the episode before when we were talking about, might have been last episode when we were talking about whether or not Vince moving NXT onto USA and going directly head to head with AEW, whether it was him doing business or just a low blow dick move. Business isn't always pretty, and sometimes you got to do some things that are going to be some unpopular opinions. And the thing is in this day and age, you wouldn't have that situation happen, more so because of the fact that back then they weren't having, at least the WWE at that point, they didn't have guaranteed contracts. So that was part of the big issue. You were going on a handshake and your word, and look what happened. Lex Luger was on, WWF programming, one night because they were taped, and then he showed up live on Nitro. And, that definitely, I can understand exactly why Vince did what he did because of all the other shit that was happening right before his very eyes, So I don't blame him for doing what he did. And honestly, when it comes down to it, when you're the talent, it doesn't matter if you want to drop it to this person or that person or whatever. You're the talent. Vince was the boss. So you fucking do what the boss tells you. Like, that's plain and simple. If you go to your job and you say, "Well, I don't want to work alongside this guy," and your boss tells you, "Well, you have to work alongside this guy because we're putting you on this same job, this same detail, whatever." You say, "Well, I don't want to do it." Well, then you fucking get fired. Plain and simple. Like, I mean, it's that's the way it is. So I don't give a shit, who you are, and if you think you're the self-proclaimed hero of Canada or not. Fucking do the job you're supposed to do. It isn't always pretty. And I mean, fuck, I'm sure Hunter didn't enjoy eating all the shit sandwiches that he did after the whole curtain call incident, but he did what he had to do. And then look what happened. He came back out on top better than ever. And now he's the fucking COO. So no, I don't blame Vince at all. And I would 100% do the same thing if the situation were to arise in this day and age. However, now that you have contracts and everything like that, you wouldn't realistically run into that problem. But yes, I would absolutely do the same thing if it came down to it.
Poot.
Yes.
All right.
Hello.
I think it's appropriate that I cracked open a Victory Hop Devil IPA because I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Oh boy,
Okay.
here we go.
Now, it's devil's advocate, and then what I would personally do. Yes, there was a lot of shitty business dealings on both sides. Yes, there was a lot of promises made by Vince McMahon that he literally couldn't fulfill, or at least
Could not. Right.
supposedly couldn't fulfill to Bret Hart. And when you're promised the moon and the stars and then it's taken away from you, that leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So if they're going to do shitty business, why the fuck would I do shitty business? Or why wouldn't I? They're going to do what's best for them. I'm going to do what's best for me. And a big fat contract for multi-million dollars is what's good for me. There's the argument, just a little aside, if Bret Hart would have played ball and stayed with WWF at the time, would his career have ended, and would he have had all those medical problems, i.e. getting kicked in the fucking head by Goldberg?
Who's still the worst. Sorry.
Who's still the worst. So there's that to think about. But regardless, Bret comes from an old school way of thinking, and this was kind of the beginnings of, the really big, there was the groundswell of smart marks. There was the groundswell of kind of kayfabe going the way of the dodo. And the problem is Bret came up not only in a family that was brutal in many ways with the business, he came up in a very traditional manner. He came up in a very traditional way of thinking about the business to protect it, to protect yourself. Because back in the day, unlike today, yeah, there's bad feelings. Yeah, there's people who don't like each other, and there's negotiations and contracts and business dealings that go wrong. But the overall attitude from professional to professional in the business seems through the mediums of social media, we see this, that they treat each other far more professionally. There's a lot of respect there, and there's a lot of fans of wrestling in general that are now in the business, and some of their top stars. So Bret came from a place where it was you had to take care of yourself. You had to protect your character. You had to protect what you did in every single aspect, in that ring, backstage, when you were taking care of business, and especially in the public. You had to play to kayfabe, and that never went away. He never evolved with that idea of okay, times are a-changing. If I don't get on board, then I'm going to be left in the dust, and people will remember the high points of my career, and they'll talk about how great I was. But then in every single documentary or every single thing, it's going to be and then he shit the bed. You know what I mean? He wouldn't let that go. And there was even the talk about if Bret would have played ball and he would have just said, and I think he even posed the solution of, I'll drop the belt the following night on Raw. He said, I just don't want to lose it in Canada. And from various accounts, again, there are tons of accounts of this. The most accurate thing, I think, again, we mentioned it before, is Wrestling with Shadows. Okay? And that's a really good documentary, and it seems really sticking to what is happening in that moment. But, if Bret would, if you know, everyone can say if Brett would have played ball, Brett should have played ball, Brett should have done it, do what your boss tells you to do, blah, 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 blah. You know, have respect for that title, have respect for this company, have respect for your peers, blah, you know, all that. But really, if he did pose the suggestion of, well, I'll drop the title tomorrow night, and apparently, even if it's Sean, I'll drop the belt tomorrow night on Raw. I just don't want to lose it tonight in Canada. You know, people talk about Brett bending and playing ball and dropping the title if he was going to hightail it out of there. Well, fuck, McMahon could have done the same thing and played ball and said, okay, we'll do it. I understand he wanted a title change on Survivor Series, and it would have gotten Shawn Michaels like the right kind of heat, and it would have gotten the WWE and you know, the right kind of heat, the right kind of booze. But they could have played ball with Brett. They could have done that. They know how big of a stickler is. They're not going to have to deal with him after the next 24 hours. They're not going to have to deal with him anymore. So just go, all right, Brett, whatever the fuck you want. Like, seriously. People talk about Brett not giving. McMahon could have given too. He could have been like, fine, who cares? It's not going to matter after tomorrow. That's the thing. Now, the question is, would Poot the Bard do what McMahon did? Honestly, I wouldn't. I would just go, whatever you want, Brett. Fine. I'm not going to have to deal with you anymore. Whatever you want. You go ahead and do it. And then he'll walk away with a false sense of bravado. The right person, the person I would want would be the champion, and it would be on Raw. And then people would be like, holy shit, a title change on Raw. Now, would it have felt a little weird to like have the match on pay-per-view and then immediately have a rematch the following night? You could easily have Michaels come out and yell and scream on the mic and say, I'm holding up the show until I get my rematch clause in my contract, you know, or I want it. You know what I mean? You could have had Michaels come out there and throw a fit and hold up the show. You could have even had at Survivor Series, you could have had a finish where Hitman was tapping out Michaels and somehow the ref didn't seem, you know, like Sean was like reached out, grabbed the rope, and the ref was watching his other hand, and Michaels is tapping, and he says, oh, Michaels tapped. But Michaels had already grabbed the bottom rope. He didn't see it. And then you go, no, that's bullshit. We're having a rematch tonight. Give him the belt the following night on Raw. You could have done that. So would I have done it? No, because I would have been like, well, I don't have to deal with his yelling and screaming. Just give him what he wants and then kick him to the curb over to WCW.
Now, refresh my memory, because I can't remember 100%. I'd have to go back and look. Was Brett's contract up that night? Was that his last night under contract? I thought I remember hearing something about that's the reason why Vince didn't want to do a title drop on Raw, because he didn't know if Brett would show up on Raw. For some reason, I'm thinking that Survivor Series was Brett's last contractual night, and he was no longer held to a contract after that. So it would have just been his word. And I'm fairly certain that's I want to say that might be it, because, you know, he had taken people at their word before, and this is something that had been brought up on various people's podcasts, that, you know, Vince took Lex Luger at his word that Luger wouldn't leave, and, you know, all of a sudden there he was on WCW. So Vince was afraid to take Brett at his word that Brett would either come out and just hand it over, or that he would come out and have a match and drop it, which is why it had to be done at Survivor Series, because that was his last contractual night.
I think if Brett would have, and this just kind of ties up the loose ends of my thing. Yeah, okay, if it was the final night of Survivor Series, was the final night of his contract, if Brett would have gotten what he wanted, he'd have shown up. He would have done it. You know, you talk about a hitman being a shit dick, but like it, you know.
Well, you were right. I'm sorry.
No, like that's my point is if he would have gotten everything he wanted, there is no reason. And had he done that and still taken the belt and gone, no, I'm taking it with me anyway, it would have tainted everything about him, his entire legacy.
You make an awesome salient point before when you said he's a traditionalist guy who was brought up in the business. He was brought up by the toughest wrestling family in the world, And if he would have pulled that shit where he said, here's my handshake agreement, I'll show up tomorrow night on Raw, and I'll do whatever job you want me to do. If he would have pulled the shit and then went to WCW with that title, like his family would have cast him out. I mean, anybody that knows anything about wrestling would have cast him out. He would have been the biggest dickhead in the world for a number of other reasons, way before he even started talking about Seth Rollins. So yeah, you're right, Poot.
Yep.
Real quick, before Ransom makes his point, I do want to say I have kind of a segue after Ransom makes his point in about as far as the scenario that you described there, Poot, with like the grabbing the rope and the tapping out and stuff like that. I have a good segue, but Ransom, what say you on this whole matter, on this Montreal debacle?
I would love to, be able to. I'd love to be able to have the pin particles and to go back in time and see what maybe would have happened if Brett would have stayed, right? If Brett would have stayed in the WWF, because Goldberg wasn't coming to WWF then. So I would imagine that Brett's career would have been as lengthy, if not longer, than Shawn Michaels' career. Because he didn't have the problems, the back problems. He didn't have to go away for those 5 years that Shawn went away. I imagine Bret Hart's career would have been a lot longer. He probably would have been a multi-time WWE champion. I'm willing to hazard a bet that Owen probably would still be alive, because Bret has said multiple times, if I was still there, I would not have let him go up in the rafters and do that. There's no way I would have let my brother do that. So I'm sure Bret would have talked Owen out of that. So who knows? Bret's career might have been a lot longer. Owen might still be with us. His career might have been a lot longer. He could have been a WWF champion. The whole landscape of the wrestling, world could be dramatically changed if Bret would have stayed. But on to the point of the Montreal Screwjob and what I would have done it is, if that's today, yes, 150,000% abso-fucking-lutely. You do what your boss tells you to do at your job, unless it puts you in some sort of physical danger, mortal danger. You do what you're told to do. You're hired to do a job, you do that job. If you don't do that job, well, someone's going to pull the rug out from under you. You're going to get fired, you're going to get reprimanded, something's going to happen. I agree that The Wrestling with Shadows is a good documentary, but it is heavily, heavily, heavily sided to Bret Hart, because they followed Bret around.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly. They followed him around. It was all about Bret. It was all about Bret at this time. So they're not going to go to Vince and be like, hey man, what's your side of the story? They're not going to go to Shawn and be like, hey man, what's your side of the story? Vince ordered Shawn to deny it up and down. And he did. He followed orders. He denied it up and down. So did Triple H. Denied it up and down. We had nothing to do with it. We had no idea this was happening. Nothing. Taker even confronted Shawn Michaels and said, did you know? And Vince told Shawn, you deny it to anybody that asks you, anybody ever. You say it was all my idea, you had no idea. And he did. Also, I don't like the idea of, well, I'm a Canadian and I don't want to lose the title in my home country. I don't want to lose in Canada. What? What the fuck is that? See, I don't want to lose in Canada?
I don't think that was the issue. I think, like I said, I think it was the issue of him losing to Michaels in Canada. I think he would have lost to Taker or Austin.
Still at the same point, it doesn't matter. You're told to do something. This is what's going to happen. You don't get to refuse to do something because you don't like the guy that you're working with. Oh, Seth, we want you to go out and lose to Brock Lesnar. I don't like Brock Lesnar. I'm not losing to him. I'm not going to do it. No, you do it. You fucking do it. Steve Austin did the same thing, and he admitted that he was wrong. He didn't want to lose to Lesnar. He didn't think it was right. He went away. He no-showed. And he's come back and admitted full-heartedly, that was wrong. I should have done what Vince told me to do. I should have done the job. It's my fault. That's my bad. He came out and admitted it. The same thing with Shawn Michaels, because as big of a Shawn Michaels fan as I am, I'll fault him on this too. And I'm sure you guys might know, maybe you do, maybe you don't, I don't know. But with the whole Austin Michaels Tyson thing, at the end of the match, Vince wanted Tyson to lay the Austin 316 shirt over Shawn Michaels. And Shawn said, no, you don't do that to me. I'm losing this belt. I'm going away. My back is broken. I've done all this stuff for you. I've thrown myself to the wolves, especially the Montreal Screwjob incident. I've done everything you've asked me to do. You're not going to do this to me. I'm not going to go out that way. That's not how people are going to remember me. You're not going to do it. Well, turnabout's fair play. Sean fucking refused to do it. And Vince said to Tyson, at the end of this match, you lay that Austin 316 shirt over his face. You do it. And that's what happened. Sean didn't want it to happen. He refused. He said no, absolutely not. And it still happened. If you're going to refuse to play ball, you're in the wrong business. You have to understand that you are working for somebody. So yes, I would absolutely do the same thing today, regardless of whether it's Brett, Sean, Edge, any other wrestler Adam Cole. If you don't want to play ball and you straight up refuse to do it, we're going to do it for you. And, as much as I disagree with Jim Cornette on a lot of things, because, Smoky Mountain this and I'll kill you, motherfucker. Thank you. He said on his podcast, he's like, if I would have been in that meeting, I would have told Vince the exact same thing. Fucking roll his ass up and take the belt off of him. Hell, have, Briscoe show Shawn Michaels some holds. Roll him up in something. Force a pin, force a submission, do something. Take that belt off of him. Cornette said it. Hunter obviously said it. Pritchard, he said it. So, it's nothing against Brett. As much as I think that Brett is a stink finger. If it had been anybody else, if the roles would have been reversed, if Sean was going to WCW to be with his buddies, and he had the belt, and he refused to drop it to Brett, because I don't like Brett, and I'm not dropping it to him, and I'm not going to make him look like a Canadian hero by dropping it to him in Montreal. Hell no, I'm not doing that. Fucking roll that little bastard up and pin his ass and take the belt from him. I think that was 110% the right thing to do.
So, Ransom, I think what I'm hearing is if you don't do your job, let fucking Mike Tyson knock him out, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Bring him in. Give him the hit.
Ding, ding, ding.
Tom, you said you wanted to go off of something with grabbing the ropes or whatnot?
Yeah, well, this is kind of a loose transition, probably not one of my better ones. But I got something I'm gonna call Tiger Bomb Tom's Take It or Leave It.
We're gonna have 5 million segments on this fucking thing.
We are. Fuck it. Who
it's
cares?
Fine.
We'll do what the fuck we want. You know why?
Right? $49.99, idiots.
Exactly. That's why.
Also, by the way, until further notice, you're no longer Tiger Bomb Tom. You're now Transition Tom because you are the king of transitions. But
That's right.
I've now set you up for like an impossible transition. So go ahead.
Wait, Beef. So it's not because of the surgery? We're not supposed to mention that?
If my beer bottle was empty, I'd chuck it all the way up to Clearfield right now.
What an arm on that man. He must be taking his hormones. Go on.
She's got an arm on her.
Wow. You know what? You just wait till Saturday.
Oh, dear.
Anyways, so speaking of screwy finishes and things like that of the nature, I want to talk about I want to talk about the main event of Monday Night Raw from the other night, because somebody asked me while I was streaming. Yeah, I know. Well, tough. You're gonna hear about it. So it's 2 days past. Yeah, I only have Hulu, and even I fucking
I was just like, I kind of slacked off this week. Been working on a lot of guitars. Go on.
Oh no, that's fine. It
was actually a decent episode this week. Honestly, except for the main event. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I do on a further thought, tag team turmoil. I have some feelings about that. But
yes, me too.
The main event. Here's the big thing. The main event, the way it ended was such bullshit. And if that's how you're gonna close out your show, shame on you, fucking creative. So what happened is AJ Styles pulled the old Eddie Guerrero, where number one, Gallows and Anderson and Seth Rollins were all supposed to be banned from ringside in this U.S. title match between Braun Strowman and AJ Styles. So there's the setup for you, okay? So obviously we know somebody's going to get down at ringside, i.e. Yeah, like if somebody's barred from ringside, there's a 9 out of 10 chance that fucking person's going to show up at ringside anyway.
You know they're showing up.
Exactly.
And it's not going to be fucking Seth Rollins because they've already told you on the air that he was in Hawaii. I don't know if somebody goofed or what, but I mean, like they made mention of it twice. And I'm like,
no, they were
just doing.
They were just doing the thing. Hey, man, did it's when you go into school and your teacher says, "Hey, man, where's your homework?" And you go, "Africa."
The dog ate it in Hawaii. So, anyways, but towards the end of the match, there's a ref bump. Gallus and Anderson come out. They proceed to, attack Braun. Braun ends up getting the upper hand. There's a steel chair that gets involved. Braun lays waste to Gallus and Anderson. And AJ sees the ref stirring, so he hurries up and takes a dive and is laying there. Now, the ref has heard the chair shots, and he sees Braun with the chair in hand, and he goes, well, I heard it. So he disqualifies. He disqualifies Braun, gives AJ the win. Here's the problem with that. How many times in the past, and I despite the Eddie Guerrero stuff, just thinking that that's a smart move to do as a heel, which in a way it is. But here's the thing. How long in the history of wrestling in general, whatever promotion it is, if there's a ref bump, the heel gets away with doing some shit. The ref doesn't see it, or how many times even during a tag match, somebody tags and you could hear a clap or whatever. If the ref doesn't see it, it doesn't count. But now all of a sudden, because the ref heard it and he didn't see it, it's supposed to count. Now you've just gone and fucking undone like everything from a ref's job, like over the countless years of wrestling. And I think it was such a stupid fucking way to end it. If anything else, besides that, Gallus and Anderson were still down at ringside, so fucking AJ should have gotten disqualified when the ref, quote unquote, came to again. It just fucking made no sense. And here's the thing though, when you have a ref bump and some shady shit like that, who's the heat supposed to go on? Poop, tell me who the heat should have gone on in that match. When you have a shitty finish like that? Yeah. Oh, it should have gone on 80-20 split. It should have gone on the OC and it should have gone on the ref. It should have gone on AJ, right? Yeah. Okay. Because of the fact that you do this now with the ref, quote unquote, hearing it, now where does the heat go? On AJ or on the ref? On the ref.
100% the ref.
Yeah, and that's exactly the fucking problem, because now the heat is not on AJ, the heat is on the ref. And
well here's the bigger problem. There's a bigger problem incarnate here, is that for the second time in 3 months, you've seen the club pretty much had their noses shoved in shit. Ugh. And in this case, we're talking by one guy. And yes, I understand that they are grooming Strowman to be something mighty, and I'm okay with that. And because they missed that boat fucking 2 years ago, and I think they've been suffering ever since. Yep. But he's not to me right now, outside the Undisputed Era, and maybe the actual Bullet Club, and that's disputable, but the club is a strong faction, and here they are again, looking not so strong, being taken down. But again, I understand it, the monster but it's one guy taking down three guys. That's the biggest problem here.
The thing is, had there been a longer build where the club was more dominant instead of this very, very quick, okay, they have the belts, now they lost belts, AJ has the title, now, it seems like they tried to shove in 7 months worth of heat building into a very truncated time, and now they're trying to go, oh no, they're strong, look what we've done with them, and it doesn't work that way. The other thing is too, my umbrage with this situation, hearing about it, is the fact that we need, I think now, and I understand, these situations are usually protected by plot armor. Tom, do you know the idea of plot armor?
I don't.
So I brought this up with my sister. We were watching the couple Indiana Jones movies the other day, and we were watching the first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Right, great movie. We were watching it, and despite all of the dangerous, shitty, crazy situations that Indiana Jones is in, he's not gonna die. He won't die. Like, he's
Right.
not going to die. He's going to come out on top. That's called plot armor.
Okay.
Like, basically, it's like, oh, he's hanging off the edge of a cliff, or he's over a punge pit of spikes, or what, a pungent pit, I think that's what they call it.
Pungy pit.
Yeah, he's over that, and it's like, oh, what if he falls? No matter how many times you watch that movie, there's that slight little thing of, you know what I mean? You know
Yeah.
he's not going to die because he's the hero. Like, he
Right.
won't die. He's the protagonist. That's plot armor. Like,
Okay.
So anyway, that's kind of what's going on here. These situations, they happen because the plot needs it to happen. Therefore, it kind of has that, it's in that same ballpark of idea. Like, the ref heard the chair shot, instead of going, hey, these heels, these shifty, no, this is what happened. I'm not going to go off by what I saw. You know what else pisses me off? How many times have we seen that kind of thing happen? Ref calls the match, and then another ref comes down and says, no, that's bullshit. See, look, let's watch the replay, or no, this is what happened. And it didn't happen, did it?
Exactly. It's too many. It's too many inconsistencies. I mean, here's the thing.
Zero.
Like, okay, hey, here's the kayfabe break. Let's break the fourth wall. Wrestling is scripted, everybody. Ooh, I know, right?
What?
Son of a
Tom!
bitch.
I know.
Tom,
Shut off the podcast. We're done.
At least
It's over.
Santa Claus is still real, right?
Yeah, sure. Keep telling yourself that. So, anyways,
Spoiler
Just
alert.
about as real
Listen,
as
hey.
CM chances of showing up this weekend. But go on, Tom.
hey, there's nothing sadder than a fat man blubbering with a fake ass title. Anyways,
Oh,
I had to get you back for that shit earlier. Anyways,
Wow, someone must not be happy about the fact that I have a mute button over here. Beef, how you doing?
Oh, that's awesome.
nice play.
Hey,
Nice play.
if I can, is everybody done with what you're going to say? I don't want to cut you off if you were still talking about something there, Tom.
No,
I have a point
the
to
one,
make
the
on this
one.
when
I
you're
just
done.
wanted to say it was just that's the one thing. Even though you're gonna have something scripted, regardless if it's wrestling, if it's a movie, if it's theater, whatever, be consistent. You know, like give me like at least make the make believe stuff as believable as it can be for me. You know what I mean? That's
Fucking A.
so.
Well, not only does this set a dangerous precedent of, well, now if the ref hears something, he can go off of what he hears instead of
Right.
just what he sees. Now, granted, if you're thinking logically and not in the wrestling mindset, yeah, sure, that sets a dangerous precedent. But in a wrestling mindset, this could never happen again, and everybody could just forget about it. That's the way wrestling works. But my biggest problem with this is, and I think somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they touched on it about the fact that, the heels are out here. You've got the club at ringside when they were barred from ringside. The ref hears a chair shot. He sees Braun Strowman with the chair, and he sees AJ and the rest of the club down. How does the ref know, by hearing the chair shot, that Braun Strowman hit AJ Styles with that chair? What if the club shows up at ringside and Braun goes, oh, hell no, club's not supposed to be here. I'm going to go get a chair, and I'm going to waylay on Gallows and Anderson. They're not in the match. That's not illegal. You could beat them to hell and back with chairs, the ring bell, fucking Corey Graves. He could have picked up Corey Graves and beat him to death with him.
I'm going to beat
much
you to
as I-
death with Corey Graves.
You could have taken the King's crown and smashed it over their faces. You can't get disqualified for hitting somebody with an illegal outside object if they're not in the match to begin with. So
True.
how does the ref know that Braun
Actually-
Strowman hit AJ Styles and not the club?
Well, I'll tell you
there
what.
a situation a couple months ago or something where somebody was out and about at ringside, and one of the active competitors hit them and got disqualified somehow?
Well, even if
remember
that
something
happened,
like that.
it shouldn't. Even if that happened, it shouldn't matter. What if
Right.
I was outside the ring with a non-competitor? If anything, the club showing up, even if they didn't touch Braun Strowman, if the club comes down to ringside when they're not supposed to be at ringside, they're banned and barred, whatever you want to call it, from ringside. Braun Strowman goes out and picks up a chair and starts wailing at him. If anything, AJ Styles should be disqualified because the club showed up.
Exactly. And
Right.
that's what I'm saying. Like we all know the quote unquote rules that are supposed to be set forth in wrestling. Like, you just be consistent with it. That's all I'm asking. another thing I wanted to touch on, since I kind of brought it up, was the tag team turmoil. And I'm just gonna say,
oh my God,
listen,
Tom,
Hey,
don't
can you
even
set
get
the
me
stage for
started.
that? Can you set
What's
the
that?
stage? Because I
Okay,
didn't see
no,
Raw, so
Tom,
I need to know
Tom,
what's
can
going
I?
on.
Please, can I? Please, can I, Tom?
Yeah, but I do have, I like I said, I do have a point to make on it. So set it up for me if you would.
Okay. So tag team turmoil, and I think that the Street Profits did a wonderful job of setting the fucking stage. I love them as like the chorus of Raw, but anyway, so 8 teams were involved, 8 actual honest to God tag teams were involved.
Oh, hang on.
I'm sorry.
Let me interrupt you
I'm
real
sorry.
quick. I'm sorry for interrupting, but I want to ask one question, just so I know. Are the Street Profits still technically NXT, or are they main roster now?
Well, here's
Or are they
here's one-
NXT but just show up on main roster? I don't know what's going on with them.
I think
Yes, that one.
here's what it is. I something that real quick we gotta. I myself included have to get out of the habit of saying people coming up to the main roster, because it's going to be more like a lateral shift left or right. Because you're now NXT is also going to be live, so it's not really you don't really have like main roster stuff and then NXT's down here location wise. Yeah, they're down in Full Sail, but I just wanted to throw that out there in the future. So if I berate anybody for saying that, it's only out of just to kind of get myself also into that mindset of not saying, not putting NXT on a lower pedestal, because
that's implied. Don't worry about that.
But anyways, okay. But
seven actual tag teams. Let me see if I can name them. Let's see: Hawkins and Ryder, the Viking Experience. Nope, the Viking Raiders. Nope, the War Raiders. The Lucha House Party, the B Team, the Club.
The B Team is still a thing?
Apparently, right?
They're filler.
Why is the fucking Club being lumped in with those jamokes?
Oh, just wait.
No,
just wait.
The Viking Raiders were there too.
Rude and Ziggler.
Well, yeah, they're not an actual tag team.
But
I'm sure we'll get to that. But so they were in there.
Oh, Heavy Machinery was in there.
Heavy Machinery, and I can't think of the fucking last team.
Is AOP
Revival?
Nope.
Oh, AOP.
The Revival. Yeah. No, it was the fucking Revival. How bad is that? That like the best team in the world, in my opinion, that was in the tag team turmoil match, and I couldn't think of them. But yeah, so you have 7 teams, and then this random ramshackle team of Rude and Ziggler together. And it was basically a gauntlet match. 2 teams started, which was the Viking Raiders and the B team. And then, you beat a team, somebody else comes down ad nauseum. Go ahead, Tom.
So here's my thing. You had actually legitimate, established tag teams that have been working together, some for years, like the Revival and
Hawkins and Ryder.
Even Hawkins and Ryder. Yeah, I'll give that to them, because even when they were with whenever they were cronies for Edge, they were a tag team then, or even before that, they were the Major Brothers, They've been a tag team for a fucking hot minute. So the aftermath of it all, spoiler alert, is that Ziggler and Rude ended up winning the tag team turmoil.
No fucking way.
Okay.
Yes,
Now,
fucking way.
Hold on. Now, here's a good thing for it and a bad thing for it. A good thing for it is now hold on. The good thing for it would be if that they go on and they face Rollins and Strowman and they lose and they don't capture the titles, then it keeps the other legitimate teams safe, that they didn't have to lose a title match to a quote unquote unestablished team of Rollins and Strowman. There's that only good point. That's the only good thing that could come out of this. However, I don't see Rollins and Strowman, me personally, I don't see them retaining the championship for much longer. I see them dropping it at the Night of Champions. I'm not calling it Clash of Champions. It was Night of Champions for the longest time, was it not?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wasn't Clash of Champions a WCW thing?
It was.
Well, why? Okay, so when did it change from Night of Champions to Clash of Champions? That's been bugging the shit out of me.
2 years ago, I think.
Any reason why?
I honestly like Clash of Champions better. I think it should still be Clash of the Champions because of the history that I think that's I think is what they're going for, is kind of invoking that nostalgia factor, I guess.
All right. Anyways, so regardless, Night of the Clash of the Champions.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Put
Night
that
of
in
the
your
Clash
piece,
of the Destruction
More like-
of the Champions.
Yes.
More like
put
Night
that,
of the Dead Ass Tag Team Division.
Yeah, exactly. The fucking WWE for the longest time has treated tag team wrestling like shit. They only highlight it when it's convenient for them. And this was even furthered. This was even furthered by Bully Ray on the Busted Open podcast, and I was listening to it. And he said, when you opened up the first edition of the WWE Encyclopedia, when you go to the page with Stone Cold, there is a picture of him and Mick Foley with the fucking tag team championships. Okay. When you go to the page with the Dudley Boys, there's a picture there. No tag team championships. Of the most fucking decorated tag team in like the history of fucking WWF/WWE, as we discussed in the Hot Tag Trivia, previously. Like, get the fuck out of here. I honestly, like, if Strowman and Rollins keep the titles after this next pay-per-view, then that's, like I said, that is the only reason that I can see Ziggler and Rude getting thrown into there, and that I'll be okay with. But in the moment, man, how the fuck are you just going to shit all over all these other tag teams, these established tag teams? And I know we discussed it. You got to see the forest through the trees. But man, like to the casual fan, somebody who's just tuned in, you can kind of tell, even if you're a casual fan, you can kind of tell who's an established tag team together and who isn't. Number one, by the entrances. If people come out to the same music together at the same time, they're a pretty established tag team. If they have to
they're a fucking tag team, yeah.
If they come out to separate music, you kind of go, oh, they threw them together.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take a fucking genius to figure it out.
No,
you don't have to be as smart to figure that out.
No,
not even a little bit.
Go ahead, guys. Let me tell you that I have a big fucking thing here too. But go ahead, guys. I'm just gonna fucking coil up and wait because I'm ready.
So I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to throw in one thing here, because I'm really enjoying sitting back and listening to you guys, because you're all making awesome points, and I didn't watch this week. However, I will say this: like I did say the past couple weeks about seeing the forest through the trees and everything like that. I did, but there are a couple times a year, probably biannually, that WWE kind of books themselves into a corner, and they have to have like mini restarts. Like it seems like they're getting better at this non-hackneyed booking where it's like oddball tag teams or random bullshit like finishes or ends of like random people getting championships and stuff like that. They're getting better. We can all admit that, correct? They're getting better than previously.
The product is getting a little bit better, and honestly, I think a lot of that has to do with Heyman.
And
so
it feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And you know what? That's still progress. Right now, I'll accept that. Down the road, not so much. But my point is, every like I said, biannually, they book themselves into a fucking corner because they're probably thinking ahead to the next big pay-per-view, and they're like, oh, fuck, we got 2 in here. Do this random thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My big problem with this is, and I didn't watch, but after hearing what transpired, I'm of the mindset of like, yeah, man, let the tag teams shine. Let the actual teams that are actual teams, not just 2 singles wrestlers that are thrown together, let them shine. The biggest problem I see with this is now you've got 2 random ass teams thrown together with single wrestlers competing for the titles. So if Strowman and Rollins retain, you still have this random conglomerate of 2 singles guys holding the tag team titles. If Ziggler and Rude retain, unless they're going to come up with some sort of team name and actually become a team, have team music, maybe, dress similar, which they probably won't do, either way, you have a team comprised of 2 singles wrestlers just thrown together with the belts. So it's a lose-lose for the actual tag teams of WWE when you look at it. No matter who wins that match, you're still going to have just 2 random guys with tag belts.
Ooh. And to further off that real quick, one thing that I didn't think of is even if you have Rollins and Strowman retain, obviously they're going to have to then drop it soon after anyways, because they're going to have a title match at the end of the night. They're going to face each other. And so that's going to be, depending on how that match goes, maybe, maybe Seth barely gets by the skin of his teeth and gets a quote unquote questionable pin or something. Then you got Strowman all pissed off, and then you throw their quote unquote tag team chemistry, which doesn't necessarily even exist in the first place, all out of whack. So they're going to have to drop it. So if they don't drop it to Ziggler and Rude at the next pay-per-view here, then who do they drop it to, or how do you set up that next title match? Is it, do you give it back to the club? Because I don't know. It's weird. It's weird, wonky booking, and I just don't like it.
Does Rollins have a singles match for what does he have? The Universal title?
Yes.
Does he have a singles match?
Him and Rollins, or him and Strowman.
It's
so
official.
They're going to defend the tag team titles and have a match against each other at the same pay-per-view.
Apparently.
Correct.
Yep.
What the fuck is that?
Exactly.
First time ever. That's what that is. First time
That's
ever.
face booking.
That.
That's what that is. That's face booking.
That's exactly what Poot said about writing themselves into a corner or whatever. That's not like, what now? Why?
Exactly.
So I have several. Yeah, so I have several points. So first of all, let's not besmirch Rude and Ziggler yet. Some of the greatest tag teams I can remember have been a random pairing. Dude Love and Steve Austin, the Rock and Sock Connection,
Two-man power trip.
Bar, the two-man power trip, the Bar, like guys that were you were like, okay, here we go, and you know what? Like they cling in your memory. So I'm not going to sell them short just yet, but.
Hold on. Were Austin and Michaels champions at one point? Or did they just tag together a few times? Or were they actual champions? I can't remember.
They were probably champions because, like I said, like we said in a couple years or a couple weeks past, WWE likes to do this thing where they'll set up a main event by putting tag team belts. It's just usually they lose the tag team belts before the event to put heat on the match.
Instead of having double booked the wrestlers that same night. Yeah.
But I mean, to have 7 teams, and I'm not gonna say 7 top teams because let's not lie, Hawkins and Ryder, they had their moment, but they're not a top team. The B team, Lucha House Party, okay, these guys are kind of bottom shelf. But to have actual teams not shine in a match called Tag Team Turmoil, it's a big miss. To have the Viking Raiders, War Raiders, whatever the fuck you want to call them, not shine and get 1 win before going to a double DQ, which was a stupid fucking double DQ, where the ref was just like, hey guys, you can't hear me. I'm kicking you both out because I'm in the club. Fucking stupid. To have them not like run the fucking gauntlet and beat at least 2 more, no sense was made on that match. So the thing with that is that, yes, now you have Rollins and Strowman having a second match to pay-per-view, which is fine for Rollins. He's shown that he can wrestle for an hour and 20 minutes and still be on top of his game. But Braun Strowman,
yes,
fucking big beefy Hossman, like, he can wrestle for, like, I'll give it to him. I've seen him in some deep water matches, and he doesn't look blown up. Good for him. But to have him potentially go for a 5, 10, maybe even 15-minute tag team match, and then a main event after that, you're asking a lot of a big dude. I don't care who you are, you're asking a lot. So that you're crippling your main event on the crux of this stupid story that you're trying to tell between them. But I mean, ultimately, the fact that they have 2 singles competitors on either side wrestling for the tag team titles on your main show is a big fucking problem. And that, I think, and I don't want to be that guy that keeps talking about how much I love AEW and how they're going to do things right, because they have not even begun. Let's be real. They have not even begun to kind of spin their wheels yet, so we don't know what they're going to be. But by all accounts, and by what we've seen, tag team wrestling over there is going to be fucking awesome. And if you guys know me and you guys know my love for wrestling, I love the mid-card stuff. I love tag team wrestling, and I love the women's wrestling, like actual women's wrestling, not just TNA. So, like, to see WWE trash the women's division like it did after Trish Stratus left, and to now see the state of the tag team division, especially after Triple H was rumored to have his hands in it very deeply.
And the women's tag team division, which they had built up for so high, and then fucking just pull the rug out from underneath us all. Go on.
They did.
At least but at least with Bliss and Cross, they're doing something with it. They're making defenses like every week. That I like.
Did they have a defense this week?
No, because Nikki Cross faced Bayley, which was a decent match.
Okay, I was just wondering because again, I missed the Street Profits on the Hulu replay. I thought I might have missed that as well. So,
they cut the Street Profits. Oh,
actually,
so
you know
good.
what? I think they cut out the Cross Bayley match as well. I think.
Yeah, they cut a lot of shit on
unfortunate.
Hulu. Hulu, get your shit together.
Yeah,
Fuck
fucking
you, Hulu.
Hulu.
Not to mention the fact too that, and Beef, continue on after this, but one of my big problems is, and it's always been with like the whole, this legend like The Rock comes back and wrestles this match. It's great to have a legend come back, and it's going to be a draw, especially if it's The Rock or Stone Cold, or if Edge comes back for a match, whatever. You're going to have a draw on that because they're popular, it's nostalgia and all that. But when you have Strowman and Rollins in a tag team title match, and then also Strowman and Rollins in a Universal title match, that's two matches right there. So that's taking up a spot that an established and a decent tag team could be in. So you're sucking up an extra spot with these two guys. Sure, they're top guys, but you're taking time away from other teams that could put on a hell of a show. And that's that's a problem that I have with it.
WWE needs to get away from the idea that because people are popular, we want to see them all the time. In every facet of the show, in every division, in everything. We don't.
Roman Reigns.
Put them where they belong. Put them where they belong. Keep them in the title scene, that title scene there, and focus on really being creative in that situation, in that incident with all those other people in that hunt for whatever title, whatever division, no matter what. That, I think, is what made, and Beef said about the mid-card back in the 90s and early 2000s, that's what made them interesting, is because they were kept isolated. And it made,
that's who they were.
It made
that's where they were.
It made that title, whether it be the European belt, the hardcore belt, the Intercontinental belt, whatever, it made it feel important.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
Exactly.
and here's a little quick. I got to call Beef out on this, and I brought it up in our chat. Despite the fact that she's a heel, what did we get from fucking Michael Cole? Bro time. Yeah.
So
I knew it. I freaking knew it.
Fucking knew it.
So
just as sure as shit as Michael Cole will call that all the time. It's Browse time. Fucking WWE will keep trying to force people down our throats just because they're popular. Stop it. Both of you guys.
One last point about
in WWE. Stop it. Go on.
Thank
last
you.
point about tag teams. Here's what's disappointing to me is that you heard that the Revival were like milling around, seeing about getting new contracts, and all of a sudden they got the belts, and it's like, okay, maybe they got a contract, maybe WWE's going to treat them different.
Nope.
Wash rinse repeat with the OC. Maybe hey, they got the titles. Maybe nope. They lost into two singles guys. So now my thought is this: what if the Revival signed new contracts? What if Gallows and Anderson signed new contracts? Like, we're going to be in for, fucking 4 more years of this before they're able to go and actually compete for a decent tag team division.
Yeah, but
Hey, speaking of contracts, I can't remember if I'm making this up or if it's actually true, but did Ziggler ask for a release or?
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah,
and they said no, right?
The night after SummerSlam, like, he went to Vince, reportedly, allegedly, he went to Vince at SummerSlam and like shook his hand and said, hey, I appreciate you letting me out of my contract. And he was just going to go and, quote unquote, work on other projects. And Vince said to him, he said, actually, Dolph, we're not going to be able to let you sit out the rest of your contract.
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now here's a question I have, and maybe Putin beef more specifically. Because I know they no offense to Ransom,
Hurtful.
but I know that they hit up the dirt sheets a little bit more frequently.
That's true.
So no offense to Ransom, but if you know us, please let me know. Where do you go to find, besides the quote unquote dirt sheets, where can you go and find like information, like, since they are a publicly traded company, would you be able to see like people's contracts and stuff like that? Like how long they have left, or no?
I
You
mean,
would think.
theoretically, but there's
You would
a
think.
lot.
It's got to be published somewhere.
There's a lot of, just because they're a publicly traded company, yes, they have to disclose that stuff, but that doesn't mean it's easily findable. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's what I was getting at. Is like, how hard is it to find that shit? Because somebody's got to know about it, because you get the dirt sheets reporting about it. So how the fuck do they find out? They just have the inside note.
No, you know what? Like every fucking dirt sheet reporter, fucking Ryan Satine, fucking Dave Meltzer, they all got this guy who they know on the inside, or they're their informants, and they're all full of bullshit. I think it's all conjecture. The only guy who I really trusted was that guy on Twitter, or no, the guy on Reddit, Dolphins 1972 or whatever, that would like sit there
Sounds
and
legit.
spoil paper. No, he would sit there and spoil pay-per-views on Reddit before they'd like an hour before they'd go live, and for about 2 or 3 years solid, he was like 98% correct. Only started at the tail end of it being wrong because allegedly he said that Vince was, or that somebody was onto his mole, and they were throwing him red herrings just to be a dick.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, dirt sheet guys. I mean, say what you will, like these guys have made a career of it. They've made a fucking pantheon of it. Guys like Meltzer and like I said, Ryan.
Uncle
Teen
Dave.
But there are some guys though that do work for quote unquote dirt sheets and magazines that are totally legit, like Bill Apter.
Yeah.
I mean, so they're out there, but most of them are like you said, Uncle Shagger Dave.
There's reporting on what's happening, and then there is like conjecture, like saying speculation that something might be happening. And I think that we in the wrestling world, that we observers of the wrestling world,
Oh, careful there.
Yeah, it's a
I know,
slippery slope, my friend.
That's
You better
trademark
be
infringement.
careful. Matthew Jackson's gonna come after you.
Oh,
Fuck that.
fuck you in your
Fuck that.
ass.
I'm worried about somewhere down the line, Casanova Cato hearing this and hearing me say the words "we're in the wrestling world" and taking a fucking shot from Cato. That's the last thing in the
he's
world I
gonna
need
do
in my
it.
life.
Hey, you ought to be worried for Minoru Suzuki or whatever hiding under your bed and.
Fucking that too. But oh fuck, what was it? Oh, it's we, and I think as a society, this is kind of like a meta point. We're so quick to just soak up and believe everything that we read online and say, oh well, this happened. And I think that that's how a lot of this wrestling, kind of bullshit conjecture gets started. Is that maybe there's a sniff of something like that somewhere, and somebody gets a hold of it, and it just goes through the fucking media cycles, and everybody gets all amped up about it, and then it turns out to be fucking nothing.
Speaking of things going through a media cycle, sorry, Tom, I'm stealing your gimmick.
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to, but
No,
so
it's okay. Hey, I can't be the only one that has good transitions. Otherwise, this podcast would suffer. So step it up.
Look at this guy being wholesome. Love you, Tom. The only one out of all of us heathens. So
somebody's got to bring it up, man.
So via ProWrestlingSheet.com and many other news outlets online, and you've probably seen the Golden One Center in Sacramento, who is going to be hosting Hell in a Cell, announced, they said, get ready. Via Twitter, they tweeted, get ready, WWE fans. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, challenges Seth Rollins or Braun Strowman to a Hell in a Cell match. So The Fiend supposedly is booked for a Hell in a Cell match, And again, depending on the outcome, Seth Rollins, it's going to be for the Universal title. Now, let me ask you this question. This isn't going to be sitting here, sucking off the Fiend or anything like that. This is going to be
man.
This is going to be wait till your transition's over. Tom,
Wow.
I'm sorry, Beef.
You were nailing Tom Hart.
You know what?
Hey,
No,
listen,
when
whenever he sat there and he called
shirt in,
something about a
when
paper belt, shut your mouth. Anyway.
Hey, when I get your shirt in, I'm burning it.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I expect a full refund and also a kiss on the cheek after your transition.
What? Refund? I don't know what you're talking about. You never gave me money.
I certainly did. So, anyway, not for things that. Anyway, so the Fiend here.
Don't make your advocate jealous.
The Fiend. The Fiend is.
Speaking of kayfabe break, jeez.
We're off the rails.
So far.
This is you know what? Beef did set us at the beginning and said this might be our best episode. I might agree. No. So here's my question to you guys. So
wait, let me pull up Ransom. What are we talking about again?
Yeah, right. What are we doing?
The Fiend being in this match, supposedly for the Universal title. Okay. We can kind of look ahead to that. What he has to win, right?
I'm against it. I am against him appearing. I am against him being in Hell in a Cell. I'm against him being in the main event. I'm against him. This way too fucking soon.
I agree.
When is Hell in a Cell again?
October.
And that's the point. Is like it's so soon. I would save that situation personally for the Rumble.
Yeah.
Not even when Survivor Series.
November.
No, I mean, but that's the thing. Earliest, I would save it for the Rumble. Mania would be better, but that's the thing. Is this match happens if it's for the belt. The only way that they could get out of this and have Bray Wyatt lose is if they have Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt come out and lose. That's
Bray Wyatt
and
the Fiend.
Or if the Demon beats him, at which point you're stealing Bray's thunder, and yes, you're giving it to the Demon, which would be great. But like I said 2 weeks ago or whatever, I don't want that match to happen for a while. Here's the thing: WWE has caught lightning in a bottle with the Fiend, and they know it. He's all over the place, man. People love it. They know, they're like, hey, we're doing something right. We have to capitalize on this. And this is the exact problem with
too soon.
They say, okay, you know what? We're doing it well. We need to keep that bread baking until it's ready to be a nice fluffy loaf of bread, or else you're going to get a fucking bread pudding in the middle of the fucking ring.
I love your analogy.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm a fat guy. I love food. What do you want from me?
The issue here is that WWE, they are doing currently a good job at protecting the Fiend. However, you know how quickly they're ready to just pull the trigger on all these things because they're like, oh, we can make all the money in the world. We can make all the money. Even though they're making all the money in the world off the Fiend now. You know what I mean? They want to pull the trigger and throw every belt on him and do all these things. But then the problem is you have to, at this point, let's postulate and we'll say that the Fiend wins the Universal title at Hell in a Cell. Here's what happens. Okay? This is another one of two things. Either it's an underdog story for Seth Rollins, okay? It's an underdog story for Seth Rollins, and it's in the chase for him, and he chases him down, and he takes it back at Mania. The Fiend loses on Mania. Or, here's the other thing. The Fiend gets the belt at Hell in a Cell, and then he gets to Mania, faces Bork Laser again, and loses it to Bork Laser. Here's the third and best scenario. Fiend wins it at Hell in a Cell and hangs on to it for a long fucking time. I'm talking till the following SummerSlam. I'm talking till the following Survivor Series. Hell, make it an entire year. year plus. Mania.
Why so soon though? I don't
They think that that's
that.
going to make them more money, and it won't.
Because of all the tweets, man.
Here's the thing.
Can you
Twitter's on
imagine
fire,
how?
Facebook's on fire, everybody loves it, so Vince is like, well, we got to hit it right now.
Could you imagine how great it would be? And this is fantasy booking 101. Here we go again. But I mean, just imagine the pop if you don't see. So the Fiend doesn't have a title match between now and Mania. Maybe he has a match, here and there against somebody. I don't care who. But he beats them every single time. He wins. However many times he wrestles between now and then. How amazing would it be if, come Royal Rumble time, there's no mention of the Fiend. He doesn't have a match at the Rumble. He's not announced at the Rumble. He's not one of those competitors that, you already know is going to be in the Rumble. You go 1 through 30 in the Royal Rumble, and that counter starts again, except it's like a Fiend type counter. It's not the normal WWE counter for every other wrestler that comes into the Rumble. You have your own specialized Fiend counter that shows up after number 30. It counts down, the stupid buzzer goes off, or maybe even it's, like the Bray Wyatt, screen.
It's like a clown
whatever.
Horn.
Yeah, at the freaking end of that countdown.
Oh my God.
Freaking the Fiend comes out as number 31, wins the Rumble, goes on to Mania, and wins the title against, it doesn't matter who. It could be a fucking Kurt Hawkins. It doesn't matter who he wins the title from at the Mania.
Listen,
but if he comes out as 31, surprise entrant, he's the Fiend. He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Motherfucker!
Wins the title at Mania. Man, how crazy, amazing would that be? But you're going to blow your load so far before that and have him either win the title at Hell in a Cell, which is far too soon, or he takes a loss at Hell in a Cell. You can't even have a disqualification. The Fiend can't go too far in a Hell in a Cell to even be disqualified to save the character. You can't get disqualified.
No,
you can't.
Listen, you
Either
need
way,
to
it's
stop.
garbage.
You need to stop this fantasy booking because I can only get so hard. Okay.
Gross. But go on.
But go on, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, but go on.
I'm intrigued at your hardness. Oh.
Your words, not mine.
Kayfabe break.
What just happened, anyways?
No, but that was something I just wanted to bring up. That it's like I'm part of me, like the trigger happy fan is going, hell yes, I want to see this. I want the Fiend to have the belt. I want him to carry that blah 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 blah. But the problem is, if he wins the belt, you know that it's going to set up for a loss at Mania against the Demon.
Hold on. Here's one thing real quick.
Again, too soon. And why do they keep hot potatoing this stupid championship?
Yeah. Here's my thing. Besides all that, and I agree with this stuff that it'd be way too soon to put the title on Bray at Hell in a Cell. But even still, even if he is in the match, regardless of who he's against and putting the title on him, it kind of almost makes it, number one, almost too predictable that it would have to be Seth, because it's, don't get me wrong, I don't want to take anything away from The Fiend, but what do you see as a more realistic match for The Fiend? The Fiend versus Rollins or The Fiend versus Braun?
Actually, Tom, to that point, and I haven't read up on it a lot, but apparently Bray and Braun are kind of setting up a couple seeds here for. Or apparently WWE is laying some seeds for Bray versus Braun, which would actually be a smart matchup. Fiend versus Strowman, not for nothing. Go on.
Okay, well here's my point though. The reason why at least in the title it wouldn't work if Braun here's the two scenarios. One, Seth retains at Night of the Clash of the Champions and keeps the Universal title, and say he does go on to face Bray. It makes it way too damn predictable and expected that the Fiend is going to dominate Seth Rollins. I mean, yeah, Seth is the Beast Slayer, but the Fiend is not a beast. He's a fucking abomination, and he is the unholy, just fucking incarnate of everything the Beast incarnate wishes it could be. Number two, if Braun goes over at Night of the Clash of the Champions and wins the Universal title, Now you have him lose to the Fiend at the next pay-per-view. That deflates all of Braun's momentum that you've been trying to build him up as your as the champion, as a main event guy. I mean, yeah, he's still a main event kind of player, but that just cuts the sale. That just, takes the wind right out of his sails. So yeah, you may be helping out the Fiend, but now you're fucking really hurting Braun. So I don't know.
I don't think anybody.
To your point, it does it to both, because if you,
Right.
I don't like any of these scenarios that could legitimately happen. Minus my fantasy booking. I don't like any of them, because if you have Seth versus Fiend, it's too soon for the Fiend to lose, and then now what? It's too soon for the Fiend to win, because he's not going to retain at Mania. He's probably going to lose.
At this,
And if you have if you have Strowman go over Rollins and take the title, another fucking hot potato, you're going to deflate both sales. If you're trying to build Braun Strowman up as this unstoppable monster, not Fiend level, but like he's supposed to be this big brick house of a monster, and then he loses to the Fiend, that takes all the wind out of his sails. If you have him beat the Fiend, well, it takes all the wind out of the Fiend's sails. I don't like any of it.
I don't think that anybody can be hurt by losing to the Fiend at this juncture. I really don't. I don't think anybody can. Seriously,
they've put a lot of work into Seth Rollins, into making him, because he's beat Brock Lesnar twice this year. He beat Brock Lesnar twice, and you could argue 2 clean victories. They've put Seth. Honestly, Seth probably needs a good long title reign, and I don't. I'm with Ransom. I don't like it. Here's my perfect scenario: is that the Fiend is that somehow Strowman beats Rollins, the Fiend beats Strowman, because I don't think Strowman gets hurt by the loss of the Fiend, and then the next night Firefly Funhouse Bray comes out and relinquishes the title, that talks about how he's a reformed man and how he's learned that violence isn't the answer, and sharing and blah 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 blah, all this like namby-pamby happy bullshit that the Firefly Funhouse is all about. I think that's best case scenario if he were to win right now.
How great would it be if Hell in the Cell comes down, Seth comes out first, Fiend music hits, it goes dark and everything. Instead of having his whole big entrance, he appears in the ring, laying down. Still. Bell rings. He's laying there. Just hear me out on this. Seth, not moving. Seth goes up, kind of toe kicks him a little bit, just being like, what the fuck? And he covers him. 1, 2, 3. And then the Fiend sits up. And, Seth is, kneeling on the ground. After the pin, what the fuck was that? The Fiend gets up, gets right in his face, and just gets nose to nose with him. Rollins looks like he just dropped a deuce, goes white, scared. And then the lights go down. You hear the laugh. The Fiend disappears. He's gone, and Seth is left there, shit-pantsed in the middle of the ring, confused.
That would be great, except for the fact that you're burning your main event, not to mention the Universal title event. You've just burnt that event.
That's one. That's one. Whatever.
It's just burnt. I would be
That's
happier
okay.
if
have Firefly Funhouse Bray come out and explain it the following night.
I don't know. Well, okay. That could be a thing. Do you think that in your wildest imagination that they would ever pull something like, they actually have a match between the two? It's a legit Hell in a Cell match. It's a full-length match. But at the end of the match, whenever the Fiend has Rollins down, he gives him the mandible claw or, whatever his finishing move is these days.
Yeah,
he gets him down right to when you think he's going to get the pin. Maybe even the ref counts to 2. The Fiend just stands up, does the little head tilt, looks at Rollins. Lights go out. You hear the laugh. Lights come back up, and he's gone. So neither one of them lose, but you still get to have that full-length match.
Or what if the Fiend and Bray Wyatt's inner war is happening that causes the Fiend to lose? What if the reformed Bray Wyatt somehow manages to claw his way out of the Fiend, And I think, honestly, it's way too soon for that too. But I mean, at least it would be an excuse to not put the title on him right away. I don't know.
At least you're going to protect that character that way. You protect the Fiend character that way.
I was going to say, I think when the Fiend eventually loses, I think that's the best case scenario for him to lose, is going just like that, from wrestling with inner Bray and the mental instability, and it just creates the confusion, and fucking, he can't help it. He's not in control.
So, can I ask you guys a question?
Yes.
All right. Can I have my swan song and then we go into hot tag trivia? Because I have a big swan song off this.
Oh, and after hot tag trivia, are we then just going to roll right into predictions? Because I don't. Do we have any?
Oh, we're doing the picks tonight. I thought we were doing the NXT thing.
Yeah, for NXT, we got to do the picks tonight.
All right. Well, there aren't too many matches. We'll knock them out. Okay.
No, there's 5
so
of them.
my swan song will be really quick. It just popped into my head. So here's my swan song. Your Poot the Bard swan song. Okay. The fact that we can have conversations like we just had about what they're going to do with the Fiend in this probable Hell in the Cell match, which, card subject to change. The fact that we can have the discussion we had, and, to a lesser extent, the discussions we had earlier in this episode, I think is very, very good, because it means that the wrestling world, WWE, all of the, like all those, like, WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, like all these places, but especially WWE, we can have these conversations because that means that it's somewhat intriguing and somewhat compelling. And understanding we've touted the Fiend angle and Bray Wyatt as completely compelling and the most compelling thing they've done in a long time. But all the other things we talked about as well, the good and the bad and the ugly, it's good that we can have these conversations. Like, I think it is. I think that means that there is progress and that it's interesting again. That's my swan song.
I 100% agree.
So,
because you're having fun conversations about wrestling, and I think there was a time when you really couldn't have fun what if conversations about wrestling, especially WWE.
Podcast would have been
you're
5 minutes
110%
long.
right.
Like 5 months ago?
Seriously.
No, man. During the Cena years, Ransom makes a great point. Things were pretty bleak. I mean, great things were happening on SmackDown, where some new talent was emerging, but on Raw, it was all Cena all the time for a long time. So things were pretty bleak.
And then it was Reigns all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Make the beard dog.
Oh, there it is.
I had to.
All right.
So
my goal is to get Ransom to have a stroke on the podcast. Sorry. No offense.
That's why I don't watch Raw, because you're going to hear, it's the big dog and it's boss time. And then I start to face droop. It's over.
By God. Anyways.
All right. So what's the order for hot tag trivia?
I don't know. Someone said they had something for me, right?
I got something for Beef.
I'd like to ask Poot.
All right. I will ask Tom.
Okay, so
and then
Poot
what?
to
Beef asked
me to Beef, Beef to Ransom, Ransom to Poot.
Nailed it.
Cool. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and kick it off.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Okay.
Go for it.
So here we go. So this weekend is AEW All Out, and this question it does pertain to an AEW talent. So so as we know, Chris Jericho, who's in AEW, has a pretty awesome podcast. I'd say he's on par with ours. Whatever,
This question's about Marco Stunt.
Nope, not at all. Maybe, you never know. Actually, close. This question is about David Arquette. He was on an episode of Chris Jericho's podcast not long ago, and he talked about his comeback to wrestling, and he talked about a particular AEW star who was helping him quite a bit in his training on his road to get back into the wrestling world. Give me that name of that AEW talent that David Arquette attributes to his comeback into the wrestling.
That's not fair. You guys know that I fucking hate podcasts.
Then you're fired.
Especially this one.
Yeah.
That was
right.
That was not met with like anything but like crickets, and I was like, oh no, I've killed the joke.
You flopped it. Flair flopped.
Floppy
Cheers
beef.
to the death of comedy.
Who's been helping Arquette? I mean, obviously the trendy pick is Kenny Omega since he's widely regarded as the best wrestler in the world, but I don't think so. I bet you it's one of the Jacksons. Tito,
Awesome call.
I gotta pick if after his.
You know what? Let me go off the radar here. I'm gonna say Adam Page.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
I'm not going to tell you if you're right or wrong. Ransom, you want to hazard a guess?
Awesome Gog.
Orange Cassidy.
Who?
Jungle Boy.
Well, you're all wrong, but it is Ransom's other favorite AEW wrestler. Peter Avalon, the librarian.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Destined for failure.
Yeah.
And Peter Avalon's supposedly really good in the ring too.
He was with that match he had with Sonny Kiss at what fucking show was it? What one did I actually watch? No, wait, was it Fight for the Fallen? Did I watch that?
Yeah, but that was because I didn't watch pre-show for that one.
Okay, but yeah, it was actually a good in-ring match. Peter Avalon is good in the ring, so kudos to him.
All right, Pooch, or no, Ransom. Ransom is who I'm asking.
Oh.
All right. No, you're a guy who likes to watch the WWE Network, like eating your dinners, so you may actually get this with little problem. So the Shield is a big deal. Obviously, all three guys from that are pretty big stars. The Wyatt family are equally as big, I think, with The Fiend and Rowan on SmackDown and Luke Harper. If he would ever fucking wrestle again, he's a pretty fucking big deal, too. So both of those three-man conglomerates burst onto the scene with a lot of fire and what have you, and really looked like they were destined to be the next generation, and that could still be. That being said, at one event, both of those three-man tandems had handicap matches against one person. And it was at the exact same event. I want you to tell me what event, what year, who their opponents were, and the outcome of the match.
I have no idea. I'm not even going to hazard a guess at year or event. No idea. As far as the person, it was the same person?
No, there was two different singles wrestlers. So the Shield versus X and the Wyatt family versus X, but it happened at the same event.
No. An event and year, no idea. I'm going to hazard a guess, and this is my best guess from what I can remember, and it's probably dead wrong. I'm going to say that the Wyatts faced Daniel Bryan and the Shield faced John Cena.
Anybody want to help him out?
I'm with you on the Wyatt family one, but with Daniel Bryan, I'm gonna say the Shield versus like Ryback, or no.
You're close. That's not right, but you're close.
No. Fuck. I had it.
Dude, not Braun Strowman.
CM Punk.
It was CM Punk.
Yeah.
So at TLC 2013, we saw two 3-on-1 handicap matches. CM Punk defeated the Shield in a 3-on-1 handicap match, and the Wyatt family defeated Daniel Bryan in a 3-on-1 handicap match.
And you know the only reason after I said Ryback and then you said you're close, how I remembered it was Punk, because I remember that Punk and Ryback were having their match, and that's when the Shield got introduced. And I remember now that we're saying it was Punk, I remember him talking about that before, about how he hated the fact that he's like, well, they were telling him with the booking, they were like, okay, well, you're going over, but you got to make them look strong. You got to make Roman look strong. It's like, you know what would make them look really strong? If they fucking beat me. How about that? Yep. I remember that now. So, all right. Good question.
All right, Ransom, put me out of my misery.
All right. Ready?
Yerp.
I want the name of the longest reigning Cruiserweight champion.
You fucking asshole! I knew that was coming.
That'd be me. That'd be Poot the Bard, baby.
It would be Poot the Bard. Look at the Advocate. Look at me. Man, I'm telling you, I am the best friggin' Advocate.
You really stretched me on that one, but I appreciate you challenging your champion.
You know what? I got to give you a legit challenge to make you look like a strong champ.
I appreciate that.
All right, but the actual real question.
Okay.
Who's
the shortest reigning Cruiserweight champion?
Well, that would be me, I think.
Nope.
Nope.
Beef the Legend, one day.
Yep.
Yep.
Or as I call it, the prototype champion.
Okay,
Yep.
so real question here. Everybody is familiar with the Four Horsemen. It's a legendary stable, probably the biggest named stable of all stables.
Yep.
So, this is in typical Ransom fashion, this is a two-parter.
Okay.
I want you to name for me the original Four Horsemen, and then I want you to name the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 other wrestlers who were also at different times part of the Four Horsemen stable.
All right. Well,
so give me the original Four Horsemen stable.
all right. I think the original ones were Ric Flair, Ole and Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard.
And
Yeah, there's one more in there. Ransom, can I give him a hint? Can't forget that.
no.
Okay.
Oh, it was a manager, wasn't there? Wasn't it a
Yes.
manager?
Yep.
Wasn't it Dylan? Dylan, what's the first name? Oh,
Can I help him?
JJ
JJ Dillon.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we counting that?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Now, you've got, let's see, how many did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4,
11.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 other members who were at various times members of the Four Horsemen.
Okay.
Not like associated members. These were
Well,
actual members
okay.
of the stable.
Steve Mongo McMichael, Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of the WCW ones when I actually would watch WCW. It's weird that McMichael was the first one jumped into my head.
Right?
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's 3.
I've heard of every single one of these except for one.
Wasn't Mr. Perfect in there? Kurt Hennig?
Yep.
Wow, I didn't remember that one.
Yep. He
There's
turned his
one,
back
I'm-
on the Horsemen to join the
Luger
NWO.
was one. Luger was one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, sure was.
Wow. For not being a WCW guy, Poot's pulling some of these ones out of his ass that
like
I
He's
don't
more of a
remember.
WCW guy. He'll let you know.
Okay.
Well, it's one of those things I never really got into a crazy amount of them. I would watch it because I really liked Juventud Guerrera, and not gonna lie,
The Juice.
Disco Inferno. I like Disco, man.
Oh, hell
he was
yeah.
fun.
Glenn Birdie.
Disco Fever.
I love Disco.
Oh, Sid. Sid was one.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I do, because I remember he looked doofy as fuck standing there with the 4 fingers up. I saw a picture of him.
He just looks doofy as fuck in general.
Yeah, well, that's also true, yes.
Please don't kill us, Sid.
Did
Please
I-
don't kill us.
Jeff Jarrett, wasn't he one for a cup
he
of coffee?
sure was.
He sure was. 97.
Wow, well, slap nuts. There's one that's sticking out on my head right now.
Sting.
Yep.
That
Again,
wasn't
he
it,
looked.
though.
It was after a match. There was a picture I saw. You know, like all the old pictures back in the day that like had the heavy flash, and like it was
Yeah.
after a match, and his face paint was worn off, and he was like, he looked like he just got like hit in the face with a 2x4, and he was like 4.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez, how many is that? 8?
That's 8.
8.
And that's all the ones I got, man.
I got one floating around if you want to quote unquote hot tag me in for a second.
I'm trying. Calm down, you.
I was just going for the pun.
Was it?
No cheating.
Was one of the Blackjacks?
No cheating.
No, who? Was Austin one of them? Steve Austin?
No.
Okay. Saturn
So far, we're at
wasn't.
8.
Eddie wasn't. Rotunda?
You making that an official guess or no? I'll give you one more wrong guess until
All right.
you're out.
Who
Who's
else
clicking
would have
that
been?
mouse?
Not me.
I hear mouse clicking.
That was a pen. Sorry.
You are the worst fidgeter.
Yeah, he is.
I know, right?
I'm glad he's not fidgeting with the mute button anymore.
Oh,
I said Luger. Barry Windham?
yes.
One of the
That's the
Blackjacks?
one-
Yeah,
That's
one of the
one I was
Blackjacks.
going with.
That's a Barry
Dude,
Windham.
honestly, I don't know. I like that one was a stretch for me. I'm gonna go with Mike Rotunda and this one's stupid. I know it's not right. Kevin Nash.
No and no.
Okay.
Anybody want to hazard a guess on the two that he's missing?
That you got to take this one, Beef, because Barry Windham, I remembered off the top of my head for some reason. And that's the one I was like chomping at the bit at for helping you out. But afterwards,
Wasn't Flying Brian Pillman a member?
ooh,
Yes, he was.
that's right, son of a
Also,
bitch.
there's one more.
And this last one is the one that I've never heard of before. I'm sure you guys have, but
Hold on,
I cannot picture this guy.
I wanna look it up because I've already gotten it wrong. Hold on.
Beef, you want to hazard a guess on this last guy?
Never heard of him. So he's got to be maybe somebody foreign.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe a
think
Japanese.
so.
But I was gonna say I can't.
Oh
I can't
my
imagine
God,
a
are you
Japanese
kidding
wrestling.
me?
You know this
He wa-
guy?
No. I've heard the name, but it was. He was a member for 8 months. 8 months. Can I throw it out there, Advocate?
I want to give it away.
Yeah, I ain't getting it.
All right.
I ain't getting it.
You want me to give it?
No, I got it.
All right, go.
Paul Roma.
Oh yeah, okay.
Really?
So I missed.
I've heard of
no
Paul
idea.
I
Roma.
missed Pillman and I missed Roma. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Oh,
hey,
associated
great job on getting all those guys.
associated members. War Machine. Oh, Ray Trailer. War Machine, Hiro Matsuda, Kendall
Matsuda.
Windham. That was the Windham, not the other Blackjack, but Butch Reed. Who else? Michael Hayes. Wow, and David Flair. All right,
Bleh.
all right. So
Yeah.
Tiger.
Uppercut.
Okay, you ready? So
As ready as I can be.
We've been super hyped on Bray Wyatt, not just the Fiend, but Bray Wyatt in his entirety. We know the man has come from quite the wrestling lineage. What with Mike Rotunda being his dad, and Barry Windham's his uncle, Kendall Windham's his uncle as well, Blackjack Mulligan his grandfather, and of course Bo Dallas. I really hope they do something with Bo and the Fiend. That'd be great. If he started,
I've always wanted them to.
If he started, if he started building his, if he started building his army, that'd be great. Okay,
This question's about Paul Orndorff.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the question. Bray Wyatt, when he first debuted in FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling, in 2009, what was his ring name? And for a bonus, if you could give me 3 of his other ring names, I would be impressed.
I don't know his other ring names, but his his in-ring debut name was Husky Harris, hence Huskus the Pig in Firefly Funhouse.
Oh, you know what? I'll tack that on to one of the extra names that he had. That's not right.
Really?
No.
Really?
No.
Huh. Okay.
That was his NXT name, right?
That was his,
When he was in.
that was his Nexus name.
The Nexus. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
right.
his Nexus name.
Wow. Okay. Then wow.
Can you
All right,
get
well-
okay? So that's
NXT.
one. So give me two of his other ones, not including
his
Bray
oth-
Wyatt.
Or the Fiend.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay. You anyone else? Anyone want to hazard a guess?
Husky
I would
Harris was
almost-
the only one I knew.
I would almost bet that he had something like from Dan Spivey or based upon Dan Spivey's name, but I don't know it, so I have no idea.
Okay.
Did he wrestle
Wait.
under a Rotunda or a Wyndham name?
Wait. Yes, I think he did.
I thought he maybe did.
There was a time after Husky Harris that he was called back, and he was wearing this god-awful, goofy mask,
Yep.
like similar to what Kane was wearing. And they had a name for him then, and it wasn't Husky Harris, and it wasn't Bray Wyatt. It was something stupid like something the Mauler or something the Murderer or something.
Manson the Mauler.
I am going off of the Wikipedia, so
Okay.
I don't know. I'm gonna kick myself once you say it, but yeah, go ahead.
all right. So his debut name in FCW was Alex Rotundo. That was his debut name was Alex Rotundo. He then changed his name to Duke Rotundo. Right? So here are all his ring names that are listed on the Wikipedia. Again, I'm going off of just Wikipedia here. Husky Harris, Axel Mulligan, okay, Wyndham Rotunda, Alex Rotundo, Duke Rotundo, Levi Wyatt, and then Bray Wyatt.
Did you say Wyndham Rotunda?
Wyndham Rotunda, because that's his
Nice.
legit
Yep.
shoot name.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go.
Well, that's since I blustered my hot tag trivia question, I will transition into a much grander thing, the predictions.
A lady.
Ah,
Tom just
I
goes,
will- and I'm burning your shirt as well. Beef's gonna be the only one that gets a fucking shirt.
son of a bitch.
Yep.
Stupid ass beef. I'm gonna burn
And
his
if you-
shirt while
and
he's
if-
wearing it.
What's that?
I'm gonna burn his shirt while he's wearing it.
Fair enough. You do what you want after he gets it. I don't care.
Take that beef to Kane.
All right, so
King
Tiger
of the Beast.
Bomb, Tom's prediction corner here. So we got NXT UK Takeover Cardiff. I'm just gonna kind of go down the card. There's only, like we said, there's only 5 matches, and I don't think any other ones got announced today. Did they?
No. So Sorrow's probably gonna have a match, but that's a question mark. It may actually be oh, what the hell? Baby Balor. Baby Balor had a thing backstage where he was talking about him.
Jordan Devlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Irish Ace. He was talking about how he doesn't want to sit in the sidelines, whatever. He actually faced Finn Balor at the first NXT UK Takeover, so it wouldn't surprise me if he
Blackpool.
faced Cesaro. But we'll see. I'm still hoping that Cesaro faces Ono, or like Cesaro and Ono have like a tag team match as the Kings of Wrestling. That would be awesome. But go on.
Is there a pre-show to this?
Not that I'm
no.
aware of.
Okay. Do they have pre-shows for NXT usually or not?
They're just talking ones. They're not
yeah.
matches.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And I think they're only an hour, not 2 hours generally, right?
Right.
Okay, so there's that. So we don't care. Fuck all, be all to that. I'm just gonna start off with the bottom of the card, or what I feel is the bottom of the card, and work our way up to the championship match. And I'm gonna go down the line. I'm gonna start, with one person, whoever it be, and I'm gonna kind of stagger the order here, so it's kind of all fair of who goes first and who doesn't. So I'm gonna kick it off here. Travis Banks versus Noam Dar. I'm gonna go ahead and call Travis Banks on this one. He's the face, so I feel Noam Dar can eat a pin, no problem. He's a smarmy heel, and fuck him. So Travis Banks for the win on that one for me. Poot, what you got?
I'm going to go with Banks as well, simply for the fact that Noam Dar kept getting one over on him over and over and over and over. It just makes sense that the face kind of it pays off the feud.
Not to take it away, but I don't think you're thinking of the Luckian, Kyle Williams. I don't think him and the Buzzsaw have had a match or have had too much of a feud. Yes, Dar has been over on Williams, but not on Banks. I don't think.
Regardless, it will pay off the feud because even if Banks, like, they're not going to have, they want to keep the Buzzsaw looking strong.
Right.
They want to keep him looking strong. He's basically a proxy to wrap up the feud. Like, Noam Dar needs to get his, and he's going to get his.
Beef, who you got in this?
I think, honestly, you're right, Poot. I think that Banks is a stand-in, a proxy for Kyle Williams. It should have been Kyle Williams. Given their feud that they've had, it's been a couple of weeks since I've seen it, but I mean, they were actually doing a pretty good job with the build, so it's weird that they have the Kiwi Buzzsaw standing in. But that being said, I'm a huge fan of the Kiwi Buzzsaw, so I am not only picking Travis Banks, but I'm rooting for him.
Okay. Ransom?
I have no idea who either one of these two guys is, so I'm going to say Banks.
All right. The good Banks, the not Sasha one.
Disagree.
Yeah, she's the worst. She's the worst.
Well, next to Goldberg, she's the worst. Goldberg is always the worst. Even though if I scream it that Beef's the worst, Goldberg's still worse than the worst.
Yeah, Sasha's right there, though.
Yeah. Anywho. All right. So the next one we got is Dave Mastiff versus Joe Coffey in a last man standing match. I'm going to go ahead and hand this one over to Ransom to kick it off.
I have no idea who either one of these two are either. What are their names again?
Dave Mastiff and Joe Coffey. Joe Coffey is one of the members of Gallus, if that means anything to you. There you go. He's the leader of Gallus. He's also the one that faced off against Pete Dunne in the first Blackpool takeover for the NXT UK Championship and lost to Pete Dunne.
Yeah, I'm going to call that guy.
Joe Coffey?
Sure.
Okay. All right. I am going to go with... I'm going to go with Mastiff on this one. I don't really have a good explanation. I just got a gut feeling. So, Poot, who you got?
It seems like, to me, Coffee really could use the rub because I think that he is going to be one of the legit contenders to take that belt off of Walter. I mean, Mastiff could too, but Mastiff's not as over as Joe Coffey is. Like the rest of Gallus is great, but Joe Coffey is just amazing. I'm gonna go with Coffey on this one.
Okay. Beef, who you got?
I mean, Mastiff's a big dude, and I was excited to see Mastiff wrestle for the first time, and I was sorely disappointed. He's a big dude that can't, and I mean, it's only probably because I've been spoiled by guys like Killian Dane, guys like Ivar, whatever the fuck his name is, Hansen, and War Machine, like guys that are big that can move. He's not that, so I was a little bit disappointed. But I'm taking Coffee. It just makes sense. Like Poot said, he's probably the only other guy that could really stand toe-to-toe with Walter.
Seriously.
By the way, Mr. Tiger Bomb's pick corner, you forgot to mention the standings before we get into this. May I?
If you want to, go ahead. And I will preface that by saying on the printout or on the screenshot, I fucked up a little bit, but we still all had a loss in the Orton match regardless. Because it was a double DQ countout, and I had the winner of the match being marked down as Kofi. So even though Kofi walked out as champ, that was incorrect. So my fault. Editorial, editorial rebuttal. What's the fucking word?
We'll call it a mulligan.
Yeah, we'll call it a mulligan.
Well,
but it's fixed now.
I'm just counting it as a draw since we weren't right, but we weren't wrong. So
Either way.
So on top of the stand, so just so everybody's back on track here, the way that the Cruiserweight defense is working this month is that we combined our NXT and SummerSlam predictions, and now we'll be doing the same for NXT UK and our All Out predictions. And the total prediction at the end of all of that August funness will be the Cruiserweight champion, Poot, the reigning, defending, undisputed Cruiserweight champion.
Undisputed?
Indisputed.
Well, both. It sits at the top of 9-5-1.
Good.
I also, Mr. Beef the Legend, also is at 9-5-1.
Bad.
With Tiger Bomb Tom and the Madman Alec Ransom sitting just below us at 8-6-1. It is literally anybody's ball game at this juncture.
Yep.
Continue on, Master Tom.
All right. So the next match we have is the NXT UK Tag Team Championship. It's going to be a triple threat match. We've got the Grizzled Young Veterans, who are the defending champions, versus Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, versus the other two remaining members of Gallus. I couldn't tell you who their names are off the top of my head because I forget. But
it's Wolfgang and the other Coffee brother. I don't remember
Coffey.
Joe's brother's name. Mark.
There you go.
So it's Wolfgang and Mark Coffee.
Folgers, whatever. So let's kick this off with Beef. Beef, who you picking in this
I
one?
fucking knew it. I fucking knew you'd start with me.
Shut your mouth.
Ooh.
I'm gonna pick the hometown boys. Both from Welsh would be Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews. I don't see another tag. Spoiler alert, I don't see another title change this night, and I don't see a lot of faces winning, so I think that these two are going over and getting the belts.
You clicking that stupid pen again?
Yes, sir.
He
Take your
is.
fingers away from you.
Oh, wow.
And while you do that, go ahead and make your pick there, Ransom.
I don't know who any of these people are either.
I know. I know you don't.
What are the teams? I don't follow UK stuff.
I
know you don't.
Grizzled Young Veterans. That's Zach Gibson and James Drake versus Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, and the remaining members of Gallus, which would be Mark Coffey and Wolfgang.
I'm going to pick the same people Beef picked.
Okay. I don't even need to say it. There you go. All right, Andrews and Webster.
That's them.
So I think there is going to be one title change in this event as well. And spoiler alert, I don't think it's this one. I think it could be the women's match. So I'm going to pick the Grizzled Young Veterans to retain.
Part of me really, really is worried that Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster are going to take that. But I gotta stand with the Grizzled Young Veterans because I don't.
Gallus, do it.
I gotta stand with Grizzled Young Veterans because it really seems like they're hunkering down on their title reign, and they are 100% money. They are a classic heel team, and they're so great. Good. They've barely wrestled since they've gotten those belts, and they have made it interesting and amazing.
It feels like everybody on NXT UK barely wrestles. Tony Storm, Walter, Pete Dunne, and that's just
they protect their champions.
When you have when you have a 1 hour show, you can only, and it's the same thing with NXT, man. You can only get so many people the spotlight so long. So yeah, I agree though. But and I would love to see the Vets win. I would even love to see Gallus win. But I get the feeling it's going to be the hometown boys to give the Welshians something to be happy about.
Now, to be fair, I will say that anyways,
that one was awful.
It was actually. No, I've seen a couple times on the weekly shows where Toni Storm has defended her women's championship. So I would say of the people she's wrestled the most of all the champions, she's definitely wrestled and defended more than the tag champs, and definitely more than Walter. Yeah. So speaking of which, that leads us to our next match, the NXT UK Women's Championship, the defending champion Toni Storm versus Kaylee Ray. And can I just say real quick, thank God Toni Storm is not on Raw right now, because we'd get it's Tony time.
Yes, we would.
Stupid Michael Cole.
Yeah. Fuck Michael Cole. Anyways, no, actually, he's a good announcer. Anyways, those two things aside,
It's not his fault.
Let's
Let's be real.
I know. All right, so for this
but I hear
one,
his mouth, so I blame him.
yeah. So for this one, we're gonna start with the champ, Puta the Bad. Who you got in this one?
If I was Beef, I would try and pull the thing of saying I'm gonna take my I'm gonna use my championship clout and just say I pass.
Nope, we're not doing that shit today. There's only 5
What
matches.
Man, Beer Tom is the surliest Tom of them all.
Hey, listen, I'm only on like 1.5. I've been nursing this second one. Trust me, you ain't seen nothing surly yet. I'm just getting a little attitude and healing up for whenever I spray paint that fucking title.
All right, you calm down. There. Calm down, Junior. All right. Okay.
Ooh.
Did you just vomit?
I think we're finally going to see Toni Storm lose that belt. I'm going to go with Kaylee Ray.
Ooh.
Beef.
I mean, it's Tony time. Toni Storm is super good, and I think they'd be silly to pull the title off of her unless they have aspirations of bringing her to the main roster tomorrow. And I think that there is a feud waiting for her with Piper Niven, two who have worked in Stardom together. So give me Toni.
Okay. Ransom.
Tony.
I like how
we're gonna
Ransom's just picking what Beef picked.
Well,
It's a safe
we're
bet.
gonna have we got a house divided on this one because I'm going with Kaylee Ray because I can see them taking Toni Storm over to regular NXT because of how good she is, and I could see them inserting her into a feud with Miss Shayna Baszler for that.
About that, you haven't seen NXT this week, have you?
Yeah.
Wait, say that again now.
I said about that. You haven't seen NXT this week, have you?
I have not.
I will say this.
Whoa.
You are close, but that is no cigar with Toni Storm, sir.
Well,
I will say this to back up Tom
Well,
with our picks.
Hold on. The three of us know, so it wouldn't be fair to leave Tom in the dark,
All right.
especially if this influences his pick.
go
That's
ahead.
fair. That's fair.
So he should be told. That way he can make an educated.
Give me the
Educated
spoiler. Give me the spoiler.
Rhea Ripley showed up tonight on NXT and challenged Shayna Baszler.
Okay. Even still, I think Kaylee Ray is going to take this because I think she holds on for a little bit. I think you got to build up Xia Brookside, and this is me thinking way out ahead. I think you got to build up. I think you got to build up Xia Brookside a little bit. Have her
You're right.
have her get a victory
You are
over
so
Jazzy
right.
Gabbard or two, and over Jenny. And I know these names mean nothing to Ransom, and he's just stroking out over there.
Damn it.
But I think when Kaylee Ray would lose the title, she's going to lose it to Xia Brookside.
I also think
that is almost enough to make me pick to change my pick. But I'm going to stay with Toni. But that is a very salient point that she's going to be the one to lose to Xia Brookside.
to back that up as well, there's no money in the chase with Kaylee Ray. There's money in the chase if Toni, who's been broken down by her former best friend, gets that belt, and now Toni has something to shoot for. Then you can go into the feud with I'm an asshole. Who'd you say, Beef?
Piper Niven.
Yeah, Piper Niven.
Okay. And then the last match of the night, which I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna say this. I'm pretty sure, unless somebody knows something that I don't, I think we're all gonna probably pick the same across the board. And it is my turn to start it off anyway, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. NXT UK Championship, the defending champion Walter versus Tyler Bate. I pick Walter. Poot.
Walter.
Beef. Ransom.
I'm peeing in my backyard.
I'll take that as a Walter.
It's fine with me.
Okay.
Gotta take it off here,
across
hang
the
on.
They
board.
can't. I love Tyler Bate very much, but man, come on. Like they got to keep that belt on Volta.
Although, did anybody see it? Not today's episode, but last week when he hit that fucking tiger bomb on him.
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tyler,
Oh.
wow, I might have to go back and watch that.
Oh,
Is
go
Tyler
back.
Bate the guy with the mustache?
He's
Yeah.
one of Mustache Mountain. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
He's the inaugural, the inaugural UK champion before Pete Dunne beat him.
So I mean,
Oh, that's right.
I mean, the fact that he was able to hit that on Volta, holy fuck balls! It made it
Strong
like,
boy.
yeah, it inspired me. You know,
That man is
so-
90% quads.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, gotta be. Fuck. So that honestly, that does it for the picks for Takeover. But keep in mind, listeners, if you're catching this before we do our live show on Saturday, that at the halftime mark, in between Takeover and AEW's All Out, we're going to be doing picks for AEW. So I will get these picks up after we get our episode up, and I will get the next set of predictions on the Excel sheet and ready to go for Saturday.
Hey, great job,
can-
Tom. This is a good, relegated, and fair way to go about it.
Well,
I
this
like
is-
what you're doing. Keep it up.
This is how I plan to do it. Pretty much from here on out. We'll because I have us, on a particular, like Poot, yourself, Ransom, me, on this spreadsheet. And I just figure you start with one, go, from left to right or whatever. If I start with myself, it wraps back around. If I start with Ransom, it goes to me and then wraps back around, and we'll just do that. Everybody starts a new one. That's about the fairest way I can make it. So,
all right, boyos,
Does anybody have a updated AEW All Out card that they can just run down real quick?
I don't, but I could probably
I
pull
do.
one up real quick. You do? Okay,
I
good.
do. Yep.
So,
And
yeah, so this will give us something to think about for come Saturday, because honestly, I mean, at least the way it is right here for NXT Takeover, we're across the board on Banks and Walter. We're a house divided on Tony Storm, and Kaylee Ray and the tag match, and then I'm the lone man picking Mastiff. Which I think that might bite me in the ass. But honestly, if anybody's going to make it or break it, the AEW card is going to be where it's at, I got to say.
speaking of which, we have for a first round bye in the tag team tournament, Best Friends, that's Chucky T and Beretta, versus the Dark Order. Darby Allin, Joey Janela, Jimmy Havoc, and a potential show stealer, even though they've given a fucking stupid gimmick, the Cracker Barrel, like crack flop or something match. I don't know.
No.
Crack flop? That sounds like
I don't-
something that sounds like something to go on in the back alley of crack flop.
It's like the Cracker Barrel, like Crackdown. I don't remember what. It's some stupid gimmick. But that
yes.
match. Is gonna
Great
be-
balls of fire?
yes, Mordor's County Sport.
That match, by the way, that triple threat match is going to be fucking lit. The women's battle royal on the pre-show, which by the way, Awesome Kong was just announced for. Rio versus Hikaru, with the winner of that match facing the winner of the women's battle royal for the women's title.
That'll happen on the debut show of AEW's Wednesday Night Dynamite. Is that what it is now?
I don't know if they're actually calling that. I think they're just calling it Wednesday Night AEW.
Which, by the way, quick aside, one of the participants in the Battle Royal, and I'm just going to say ahead of time, probably my pick to win the Battle Royal, Dr. Britt Baker, Pittsburgh's own, was actually just on the latest episode of the Busted Open podcast. So go check that out.
Interesting. Private Party versus Angelico and Jack Evans. SCU versus Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Stout.
Who?
Cody versus
Wait,
Stunt.
Not Stout. Stunt. Yes, Marco
fuck
Stunt. Yeah.
Christ.
Cody versus Sean Spears, the Lucha Brothers versus the Young Bucks, and the Escalero del whatever, the ladder match. Pac versus Kenny Omega, and Hangman Page versus Chris Jericho.
You want to talk
This is
about?
going to be friggin' hard to predict.
Yeah.
Oh
it is.
yeah.
And that's why I say this AEW card is going to be where, somebody's going to make it or break it on the picks because we're pretty locked up.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. So before we cut, because we're starting to wind down here, but I do have a legendary letdown. It's been
To end
a
on
hot
a sour
minute.
note.
Oh, hey,
Exactly.
before your legendary, there's one more thing I want to touch on, and I didn't know if you wanted to end the podcast on the legendary letdown. If you did, I just want to bring this up real fast.
Nope, we can actually just circle back around to you, Ransom. I'm just going to get this out real quick.
Good enough.
So, two things. One, I think that we are spent way too much time talking about the wrong UK show. Saturday morning, I think 9:30 is the kickoff time, is New Japan Royal Quest, which the main event is Minoru Suzuki versus Kazuchika Okada. I don't care that Minoru Suzuki is not going to win. Those two are going to have a fucking ball buster match. Also, ZSJ versus the Ace, Tanahashi, should be very, very good. And Kenta is challenging Ishii for the never openweight title. So the top of the card is going to be absolutely stacked. Should be a great card. Again, that's New Japan Royal Quest. We've spent way too much time talking about the NXT UK, which I'm not all that excited about, but Royal Quest I'm super stoked for. But the real legendary letdown here, and we're going to talk about this, I'm sure, on Saturday. I want to get that while I'm sober, is the fact that we don't have Jon Moxley. And it sucks. It sucks real bad because very rarely do you see a guy that transitions from from WWE.
Wow.
Wow, talk about your Freudian slips, eh? That transitions from the big time, so to speak, and goes somewhere else, and it be successful out the gate. That is an immediate fire and an immediate change in somebody. And based upon his work in the G1, Moxley is killing it. Based upon his match with Janela at Fight for the Fallen, Moxley is amazing. And I was so excited to see him versus Omega because it's a true clash of styles. And honestly, I wanted to see who they were going to put over between him and Omega. We're going to have to wait for that. I'm sure down to the TV show we're going to see it at some point. But it's still a pretty big fucking letdown. And honestly, I think he may have been a big draw for All Out. So I'm hoping that their ratings, buy rates, whatever you want to call it, don't suffer because they have a lot of chips on the play right now on this event. So I'm hoping that the loss of Moxley doesn't hurt AEW all over. But for me personally, it's kind of a bummer.
Well, to be fair, I gotta say the real letdown is MRSA. Fuck MRSA, because that's what it was. But anyways, no. I gotta say though, if you didn't hear about it already, Kenny Omega did a really good job on Twitter, like keeping the heat going. He basically, Moxley put out a big tweet about, he's like, I really want to be there. I wish I could just, throw some dirt on it and fucking just, do whatever. But, I got to get this taken care of. And, when I come back, we'll handle business. He's like, but, it fucking sucks and I want to be there. And Kenny Omega kind of healed up a little bit almost. And he basically just said, like, yeah, Moxley's scared to, come face me or whatever. That's why he's not showing up or whatever. So he's keeping the intrigue going for whenever Moxley does get back. So good on Kenny for not just being like, all right, man, yeah, get well soon and I'll see you when we come back. Like, no, fuck that. Like, yeah, come face me, you scared bitch. That's kind of what the attitude that he had. So
what's MRSA?
It's like a bacterial infection sort of thing. It's basically MRSA is what
it's a really aggressive. It's an aggressive staph infection, and it can easily kill you.
Yes, it can actually. It's very dangerous. That's actually what almost killed Moxley when he had his elbow surgery before. I
forgot about that.
Yeah, he got a real bad staph infection. And I think it turned into MRSA or whatever, and he almost died, like while he was out injured.
Damn.
I think it's time for some new fucking elbow pads for him or something because my God, fucking protect that shit.
That's
right.
And the worst part is, like, fun fact about me, I'm allergic to sulfa-based drugs, and what do you cure MRSA with?
Sulfa-based drugs.
So if I get MRSA, I'm dead.
Oh,
not joking.
Well, let's not have that happen, eh?
Unless there has been advancements, but yeah. So there you go. End that on a fun fact.
So listen,
ahead, Ransom.
I just wanted to say one thing, and I thought of this the other day, and I thought, damn it, I wish I would have thought of this when we did the last podcast. And I know we've been going along, so I'm going to just shoot this out of my cake hole real quick, and we'll be done. But we talked on, I think, the last episode about, whether or not it was a, power move or purposeful move or whatever for Vince McMahon to put NXT up against AEW on Wednesdays. I think I said that I believe that it was a purposeful move by Vince McMahon because he needs to win and he hates to lose and he doesn't want to be that guy. Like he's nuts. He's gotta have the victory. He's gotta have the win. He can't admit defeat. He doesn't lose. Vince McMahon does not lose.
Right.
And I want to boost my comment on that and maybe kind of throw some fact in here or whatever. But I believe that even wholeheartedly more to be true. And that's because of the resurgence of the XFL. Vince McMahon failed on his first launch of the XFL. Nobody can deny that. I mean, maybe you got a good guy here or there out of it. Beef got his freaking Tommy gun to the Steelers from the stupid XFL. But overall, the XFL was a flop. It was a failure. And Vince McMahon can't handle failure. He cannot handle losing, which is, in my opinion, why he's trying to do this XFL thing all over again. And that's exactly why I believe that he's purposely putting NXT, probably the hottest brand in the WWE, up against AEW on Wednesdays on purpose because he can't lose. Vince McMahon is nuts that way. He will not lose. He refuses to do it. Exactly why he's doing it on Wednesdays and exactly why he's bringing back the XFL, because he wants to have a successful XFL this time so he can be like, look, I did it. I won. I succeeded. It wasn't a failure. I freaking did it.
Well, the one good thing that may come out of that is that maybe he'll be so focused on trying to succeed in the XFL that he won't get his grubby hands on NXT's live show quite as much. So let's try to hope for that. And before we head out, Beef, you want to go ahead and thank the sponsors and close us out?
I would absolutely love to do so, but before we do, I do want to touch on that real quick. I think that Ransom is 100% correct. That Vince is some sort of like a weird, gotta win thing. And I mean, that's and Tom, I agree with you as well. I think that with his attention divided, I think we all win. I think with him being less involved with the product, it's going to be better overall. I think we've already seen that with Monday Night Raw. Like, yeah, there's been some shitty things happening. The main event, the tag team turmoil match, etc. But, I mean, for the most part, though, like, Heyman has really kind of turned that ship around.
Agreed.
SmackDown was never really a problem, to be honest with you. It was always a decent show. It just, that's his biggest problem, is that he can't leave well enough alone. So the fact that he keeps on, keeping on with SmackDown and keeps rewriting it, and, reports were that he was rewriting, he tore up the script yesterday, and he just needs to go away and do other things, and I think the XFL should be that thing. So hopefully that means that we won't have to deal with this insanity anymore.
Has Bischoff started on SmackDown?
That is a funny question that you asked. Yes, he has, actually. He was supposed to start after Extreme Rules, and I believe he did, but the fact that the product hasn't really changed too much tells you what his influence has been. I think he's just kind of there to kick up his feet and take a paycheck.
So Vince he's still got his knuckles deep in SmackDown and not letting
he rewrites it
Eric
every
do his
week.
job.
And reportedly Eric didn't want to be didn't want to have a hand in creative. He's there to produce.
Okay.
Whereas Paul Heyman wants to have his hands on the actual creative product. Bischoff has kind of brought in his own people to do that, which I don't know if if Bischoff's people are also Vince's people, but Vince clearly doesn't know none of it, as this is, oh God, let's hope not. Rodman shows up on SmackDown next week.
God help us all if he does, but we'll table that discussion for Saturday, I'm sure.
Yeah. So
once we have the beers and we're a little bit more rowdy with some bad fantasy booking, we'd always do a lot of good fantasy booking stuff and stuff we want to see, but we can handle some beers and bad fantasy booking. That would be quite entertaining.
So let's do thank the sponsors. So and before we thank sponsors, yes, let's plug the show one more time. Saturday, the live show after NXT UK. Keep your devices on you. We're not going to have a set time. We're going to try and do after NXT. Not immediately, like not the second is done, but within a few minutes or so. Give us a time to get set up. So just be on the lookout for that. Tom's great with the setting up a little bit of like a looping video thing to let you know that we're going to be coming. So get your popcorn ready.
We're coming.
Okay. So get your popcorn ready. That's going to be exciting, I'm sure. And then lots of great wrestling coming up on Saturday. But yeah, we do want to thank our sponsors. Obviously, the Tiger Bomb, Tom himself, Casual Gaming Dad, and his fantastic corner over on Facebook with all of the awesome playthroughs he's doing. He's doing Link to the Past right now. I caught some of that the other night, and that's probably one of my favorite games of all time. So it was kind of a nice little throwback. I saw you were in the Dark World earlier today, so that's pretty exciting.
Yes, sir.
And then, so give him a like on Facebook.
Follow him on Twitter.
Yeah, right. So subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Can't find me on Twitter. You get no twats from me.
Until the transition.
Wow.
You beat me to it.
I'd still be stingy with it.
This is fantastic.
It's my twat.
This is fantastic. Oh. And then, obviously, we do want to
hashtag me too.
I do want to. Sorry to all. Well, we don't have any female listeners. Never mind. We also want to plug our sponsorship with Sean Tischler and his support of IWC Clearfield 10, Clearfield X. The event coming up in October. I believe the second weekend in October. I think it's the 12th. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
correct, sir. Saturday, October 12th.
Thank you, sir. Get your tickets from Sean Tischler. Let him know that we sent you, and continue to support the local indies in your area, and keep making wrestling great as it always is.
All right.
Well, what a fandangle of an episode. So we're going to sign off. You idiots. $49.99. Tiger Bomb Tom, Beef the Legend, The Advocate Alec Ransom, and who do I advocate for again? Oh, that's right. The reigning, defending, undisputed, not indisputed, you wordsmith, English major so-called, undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world, Pook the Bard. Bye.
All hail King Corbin, bitches.
Oh.